We'll discuss whether or not David Stern and the NBA handled the suspensions the right way. Clearly, this was a public relations nightmare for the league. We'll tell you how long it'll take to recover from what took place in the Palace. And while the NBA tries to return to normal, what happens next for the Pistons, Pacers, and the league itself?
In the stands. Oh, this is awful. Fans are getting involved. Steven Jackson's in the fans.
Players cannot lose control and go into the stands.
This is a disgrace.
We have to hold fans accountable for their antisocial behavior as well.
This is very, very dangerous. Ron Artest has a look in his eye that's very scary right now.
Ron Artest has been suspended for the remainder of the season. Steven Jackson has been suspended for 30 games. Jermaine O'Neal has been suspended for 25 games. Ben Wallace has been suspended for 6 games. We cannot tolerate a repetition of what occurred Friday night in Detroit.
Welcome inside our studios here in New York. John Saunders, Tim Legler, Stephen A. Smith, Greg Anthony joined us in a moment from Palm Springs. You know, it's unfortunate, but we cannot move on with the rest of the NBA season until we're done with what happened last Friday. You saw it right here on ESPN. Let's first tell you what these teams have done since that unbelievable scene took place at the Palace. The Pacers have made the most of a terrible situation. They've gone 2-1. The suspensions were handed out, and the lone loss came against Orlando, with only 6 players available to play. It's been a trying week for the Pistons, meanwhile. To say the least, they played the expansion Bobcats to a standstill in a home-and-home set in which each team picked up a hard-fought victory. On Wednesday, the Pistons were run out of the building by the Cavaliers. And thus far, Detroit's defense in 04-05 has been a far cry from the tenacity the team displayed towards the end of last year's regular season, and even more so in the playoffs en route to the title. The Pistons are allowing nearly 17 more points a game in 04-05 than they did in that postseason run. And as I said, we want to put a cap on things. Those of you who were with us last Friday night, we were emotional. We came out of a cannon ready to explode about that situation at the Palace at Auburn Hills. But I have to say, some people out there took it to mean that we did not place any of the blame on the players at all. That was completely wrong. We were blaming everyone involved. Greg Anthony now joins us from Palm Springs. And Greg, you've had a week now to reflect on it, and your reflections.
Again, I think, and you just touched upon it, John, in my mind, sports are a microcosm of society. And I think what you saw in that fiasco on Friday night is really where our society has gone. We've pushed the envelope so much in terms of what's acceptable behavior. And again, it does not absolve the fact that Ron Artest, Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, those guys were at complete fault in terms of their actions. But let's look at the bigger picture. What are we going to do about the fans who also have to take some accountability in this scenario in terms of how we're going to deal with them moving forward?
Well, yeah, I think for me, you know, it's the sadness over the fact that there would ever be any divisiveness in terms of athletes and fans. When you look at professional sports, it's such a huge part of what we love and enjoy and cherish about being in America and enjoying American professional sports teams. It's sad to me that that divisiveness would exist. It exists for 2 reasons in this case, because 2 parties cross lines really that can never be crossed. A fan attempting to get themselves involved in the action and a player crossing the line in terms of going up into the stands. Both of those things can never happen. And if any good comes of this, I just hope the haunting images of that night will make everybody realize that this can never happen again, and hopefully put enough fear in everybody that it never will happen again.
I tell you what, I'm not sad at all. I'm tired. I'm tired of apologizing. The fact is, we all know that a player has to be culpable to some degree. You can't go into the stands. That's number 1. Number 2, Joe Dumars acknowledged that the Pistons to some degree are culpable. The fans are culpable. Commissioner David Stern pointed out how the NBA to some degree is culpable. Who knows whether or not they're pointing to inadequate security that was at the game or what have you. There's a litany of issues that circumvent this issue, or that evolves around this particular incident that took place. Nobody is absolved from this. Not us, Not you, not the fans, not the players, anybody. Enough of it. Let's move on.
It is time to move on, but unfortunately one of the things we must move to is the fact that the league's image has been damaged. The question is, Greg, how badly?
Severely. I think that is really the big issue here, and I think that's where a lot of people get this wrong. This is really not about Ron Artest. It's not about the players. It's about the damage that's been done to the game. And now you're going to find yourself, the league, the commissioner, the players, in a constant state of trying to apologize and appease those who they've offended. And so that's where I think the real damage is, and that's going to take time. That's not something that's going to be done anytime soon.
Well, I think it is going to take time, but I don't think it's anything that's not going to be repaired, obviously, in the long term. The NBA has overcome things before. Even look back to '99 with the lockout. People said they were never going to come back. Fans were not going to come back after that. They will come back ultimately, and we will get the image back reinstated to where it was because it's a great game. And right now you've got great stories. You've got great young players. The league was off to a good start this year. I think the quality of basketball was so much better than it had been the last couple of years. We're going to get back to that. It's going to take time to get over it, but I don't think that ultimately the reputation of the league will be damaged irreparably.
Of course the league has been damaged by this, but it's not because of the game. It's because of the people in the game. The fact is you have an abundance of fans who don't like the players very much simply because they feel that the players don't appreciate the wealth that has been bestowed upon them. Now, whether that's true or not is completely irrelevant. The perception is that of the fans, and perception equals reality when it's coming from the people who pays your bills and fills your coffers. That is the bottom line.
And it crosses the line into all four major sports, not just the NBA. David Stern, we all felt, had to come out strong and make a statement. He did just that. Greg, how do you rate his performance?
I give him a B. I think he was put in a very difficult situation again, and I think whenever you have an unprecedented act committed out on the floor, in this case in the stands, you're going to have an unprecedented fine and suspension handed down. The hope is, from the players' perspective, that somehow this can be minimized, maybe the overall impact, and that they feel that it is somewhat excessive.
I'd probably give him a B-. I think ultimately he probably did what he had to in terms of the suspensions. He had to, send that strong of a message out there. But I think initially I didn't really like the way he handled it. He didn't seem to be addressing the fact at all that there was any culpability on the part of the fans. He was really focused on the players. I think once he got that turned around after the first night, a couple days later, I thought his performance was much better. But overall, I give him a B-. It was a difficult situation. No commissioner's ever had to deal with something like that.
The man doesn't deserve a grade. He did his job. Whoop-de-doo. Congratulations. You did your job, Commissioner Stern. But at the end of the day, here's what it comes down to. When I look at Ron Artest, on one hand, I do feel that he deserves one of the stiffest penalty, even though I think Steven Jackson should have received a more severe penalty. But also, you have to take into consideration, Ron Artest is somebody we know to be a very troubled individual. If we know it, if the public knew it, the league knew it. And it would be nice if the league would come out and say, you know what? We knew that he was a bit troubled, and how much did we really do to help him? I'd like somebody to answer that question for me, because it seems as if everybody's ignoring the fact this guy needs some help.
Can I answer the question? I'll answer it for you. There have been many people that his organization has stood behind him and tried to support him. There comes a time when a human being, a grown-up, an adult, has to take a little responsibility on himself.
Nobody's saying he should take responsibility.
Look, you can't make someone take your help. You, as a human being, as a man, have to be willing to accept the help that's given to you.
Sometimes you can't. We are talking about the strong arm of the NBA. You trying to tell me they couldn't make him get some help?
They're giving him the season. They're giving him the rest of the season off to get some help.
They're giving him the season off. What are they doing to help him?
They're giving him some time to go and get his life together. Obviously, that is the bigger issue here.
I don't think that is.
While we're on the subject of Ron Artest, he clearly had emerged, at least early this season, as the best player on the Indiana Pacers. Can they win without him, Greg?
Definitely. If you look at their basketball team and you compare it to the Detroit Pistons, when they're both at full strength, Indiana's a better team without Ron Artest than the Pistons are without Ben Wallace, because they have a lot more depth, they have a lot more athletes, and I think they're a hungrier basketball team. So I don't think there's any question that they can win without him.
I think their style of basketball is going to allow them to win in the short term. But if you're talking about really win, to me, I always think in terms of championships. Going into the season, I think they were one of the top 4 or 5 teams that had a legitimate shot at winning it all. I don't think they're in that category without Ron Artest. I don't think they can beat some of the better teams in the West and maybe not even be able to get past Detroit or Miami in the East.
In other words, you mean absolutely not. No, they're not winning a championship. And last time I checked, Rick Carlisle, Larry Bird, Donnie Walsh, and the entire Pacers organization came out and said their goal is to capture a championship, not win a bunch of regular season basketball games. You're going to win some games, but when you're talking about championship, Ron Artest better be on that floor.
There was some question as to whether or not these suspended players would be allowed to practice with their teams. They are allowed to practice, and good news for Indiana as far as the salary cap goes. The suspensions will only count towards 10 games, not the entire season. That'll save them millions of dollars. We're in New York. Back to Times Square in a moment. When we come back, Hubie Brown steps down. Reaction to the sudden end of a coaching career in Memphis. Also ahead on Kia NBA Shoot-Around.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.
In a matchup of Eastern Conference powers, the boys from South Beach invade the Motor City. Can the Diesel and D-Wade dethrone the Beast of the East while the boys from Motown try to break out of their funk? We'll address. And a day after Thanksgiving, we'll switch gears and get into the spirit of the season.
This is for the win. Yes!
If you like that play, wait till you see what we've got lined up as we bring you the best plays so far this season in what we call plays to give thanks for. Straight ahead when Kia NBA Shoot-Around returns.
Kia NBA Shoot-Around, brought to you by Kia Motors. Kia, make every mile count. And Southwest Airlines, official airline of the NBA.
Rasheed Wallace arriving earlier and ready to play. The Pistons trying to make a run at a championship. Remember, that's a team that became whole when he joined them last year. Welcome back. John Saunders, joined by my partners in a moment. This is the second home game for the Pistons since the brawl a week ago on Friday night. Rachel Nichols is there, and she updates us right now on exactly what security measures have changed for this game tonight.
Absolutely. Security is definitely the watchword here tonight. You're going to see the Pistons in their white uniforms and the black uniforms. You're going to see the Miami Heat. And in the blue uniforms, you're going to see the Auburn Hills Police Department. There are a lot of police here tonight, and they are armed. There's also security guards. There's also some undercover cops that you won't see. A few minutes ago, I had a chance to talk to Shaquille O'Neal, and I asked him, now that we've seen in this building things being thrown at players, we've seen fans rush onto the court, just how safe does he feel in this building?
I feel safe in every building I play in. You know, it's fun when the fans get involved. I think the incident that happened a week or a couple weeks ago, something that we all got to learn from and something that we all should move on from. Like Mr. Barkley said, I don't think it's something we should overreact to. You just have to know how to handle yourself in certain situations.
If someone threw an object like a cup at you, how would you handle it?
I'll probably handle it very corporately, but I don't think I would put myself in a position to have a cup thrown at me.
Corporately, how would you handle it?
Corporately? I'd be playing the next game, just put it that way.
Now, Shaq also said he's sick of seeing the footage of this, mostly because every time he watches it, he sees something different. I asked him, what do you see different? He said, well, David Harrison is a lucky man. I'll tell you that.
Rachel, thanks a lot. Interesting as far as taking care of the players from around the league. This one, a surprising one. In Toronto, earlier this week against the New York Knicks, they had to double security for Vince, which means 2 police officers because someone saw a death threat to Vince Carter on a website. Now, the big news, though, this week, other than the brawl, is the fact that Hubie Brown has decided to step down as the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. Hubie came in and returned at age 70, won Coach of the Year a year ago. People said the game had passed them by. Clearly, it had not. Hubie Brown got them into the playoffs, but he has a health issue.
On a daily basis, an energy and a stamina. And then with me, it's a spirit. See, They're the things that drive me into the passion that you have for your game. See, the spirit is what gives you the passion on a daily basis. Well, one day you wake up, you don't have that. And that's when you got to understand that that's the time you got to walk.
So after 13 NBA seasons, 3 different teams, you got each of those teams to the playoffs at least once, and he was Coach of the Year 25 years apart. Greg, we will miss Hubie Brown pacing the sideline.
Yes, Hubie Brown cemented his legacy as a great coach. When he was hired, the collective NBA family was puzzled, scratching their head. But what great coaches are able to do is adapt their style to the personnel that they have and make them winners. And that's what he did. He made the Memphis Grizzlies a relevant franchise.
Well, I think what he did right now was come into a situation and he took a franchise that had a losing mentality. And a lot of what goes on in success professional sports has to do with that state of mind. The Memphis Grizzlies were losers when Hubie Brown got there. He changed that. He changed their perspective and image of themselves and got the most out of guys like Jason Williams, Pau Gasol. He's a great teacher, great coach.
The first 5 years in this franchise history, they went I think it was 80 and 300. They were just synonymous with losing. They didn't know how to play right. They didn't know how to act right. Everything went wrong. Then Hubie Brown comes along. Sure enough, they make the playoffs. They go 50 and 32 last year. This man is Coach of the Year, and I've met him on several occasions, talked to him on several occasions personally. This man has forgotten more basketball than most of us know. What a fantastic coach. I wish him well.
Think about that's a franchise that got run out of their town in Vancouver. They were so bad, and Hubie Brown takes that team to the playoffs. We'll continue with more Kia NBA shoot-around in a moment. Shaquille O'Neal, all smiles. He should be. They have the second best record in the East.
2, 1, yep, 3. SC and double O, P, Ego double G.
Don't even move. The season is still young, but we've compiled the season's best moments into our plays to give thanks. Park it here, the early season's best images coming up. Plus, NBA shoot-around continues.
Have just shocked the Los Angeles Lakers.
Here comes the ready or not. How you like me now? I say, here comes the rules, ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south. Here comes the rules, ready or not. How you like me now? How you got it.
You want to talk about the great defense of Detroit? This year it's not there. They're averaging giving up 16 more points than a year ago. You could never get 100 against them. We told you that Greg Anthony was in Palm Springs. That doesn't mean we don't have a spotlight. Let's join Tim Legler. Tim.
Thanks, John. You know, just 5 months ago, the Detroit Pistons were able to celebrate an NBA title, primarily because they were the best defensive team in the entire league. Well, tonight, my spotlight is going to focus on the problems the Pistons are having early this year on the defensive end of the floor, and they're really doing it in all ways. First, transition defense. You take a look here from Wednesday night against Cleveland. This is the first basket of the game, and Detroit has just scored. Normally a time when you can get back in transition, but instead, Ira Newbill beats everybody up the floor for an easy bucket. Now take a look on defensive rebounding. 3 guys stand and watch as Eric Snow, a point guard, is able to get in there, pick up the loose ball, and finally half-court defense, really the staple of what the Pistons do. 5 defenders back, yet no one communicates and talks. LeBron James is able to get from 25 feet to the rim really effortlessly without one Piston coming over to offer any deterrent. So the Detroit Pistons, without Ben Wallace right now, need to do all the little things collectively to equal the defense they showed last year. Right now, they're not doing it. And, John, it's not going to get any easier taking on Shaq and Dwayne Wade.
Tim, exactly. If you take a look at the first 11 games this year, you can see how far the Pistons have fallen. Look at what they did in the playoffs as well. The gentlemen who will call the game, Jim Durham and Steve Snapper Jones.
All right, John. Well, I think part of the reason, Snap, for that Pistons' lack of defense is the fact that Ben Wallace has only appeared in 6 of the 11 games to this point.
Yeah, and, you know, Ben Wallace has not been able to really come to the Palace and be with the team this morning was out at the practice facility, and that's as much work as he's been able to do. Allowed to practice with the team, but not able to play with them, and they need his energy, they need his presence. With Ben Wallace, their record is dramatically different, and December 3rd, can't come quick enough. Should have been yesterday.
Well, they're going to have their hands full of Shaq tonight without Ben.
Well, you know, every team has their hands full with Shaq, but with Shaq in the lineup, they've got a different problem because they've got to figure out how to keep him from getting that ball and getting that great deep position. They've got 4 guys, 24 fouls, and they are going to have to use maybe all 24.
How about 30? How about Darko?
Oh, my.
Anyway, we'll be back with the ball game around the top of the hour. Let's go back now to the studio. Here's John Saunders.
Not a mention unless you mention Darko. Shaquille O'Neal, 19.6 and 57%. Shaq is one reason to watch.
I'm a nice dude with some nice dreams. See these ice cubes, see these ice creams.
South Beach meets Motown. Shaq and D-Wade get ready to face the defending champs in a playoff atmosphere event. Can Detroit get its motor running? Also, more to come on Kia NBA shoot-around as we get you ready for Game 1 of our doubleheader. We'll get back to New York City in a moment.
Brought to you by Kia Motors. Kia, make every mile count. And Southwest Airlines, official airline of the NBA.
Chauncey Billups has taken his game from a guy they were trying to run out of the league to an unbelievable leader on the defending champs. They give thanks for that, and we give thanks for much more. As we take a look at those highlights, we saw them before, so we can tell you that they were absolutely perfect. You're going to have to trust us on that one. So let's talk about what we want to give thanks for right now. As far as Thanksgiving, guys, you missed it by a month. I didn't get a card on the Canadian Thanksgiving. But who are you thankful right now? Let's start with Greg Anthony.
Well, for me, I'm thinking of the Seattle Supersonics, and I think what I'd like to give them is a frontline player who could make a difference. To me, I go back to last year with the Detroit Pistons. A solid team, but really the difference was when they got Rasheed Wallace. I think Seattle reminds me of that team in a great deal, except they do it offensively.
I think for me, I'd like to give anything to Richard Jefferson, the New Jersey Nets. Give this guy some help. And I'd say let's give him a healthy Jason Kidd. Get him back on the floor, make it a little bit more fun for Richard to play because he's doing his job, you know, about 23 and 9 boards a game. He's doing everything he can, but that team is horrendous. They've lost 7 straight games, and he's got to be feeling pretty bad about all his boys not being there anymore.
What I'd like to give is the gift of aggression, and that would be to none other than Mr. Shaquille O'Neal himself. I understand that you are in South Beach, chilling out. Life is lovely. You're playing alongside Dwayne Wade, and he looks almost like Kobe, but you need to be more aggressive because if the Miami Heat has a chance at capturing the championship, it has to go to the Diesel. I'm talking about the basketball.
I said they'd have to trust us as far as the plays of the year and being pretty good thus far. Well, you don't have to trust us because here they are. We've dug them out of the archives.
With the last second bucket. Got it! Paul Pierce at the
ESPN's presentation of NBA Friday Coast to Coast, brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Walt Disney Pictures National Treasure, now playing in theaters everywhere. And Nokia video phones. Your life now with instant replay.
Have gathered at the Palace of Auburn Hills with the Miami Heat ready to take on the Detroit Pistons. Good evening, everyone. With Steve Jones, I'm Jim Durham, and here's the third member of our telecast tonight, Rachel Nichols. Rachel?
You know, we used to come into this building and talk about the blue-collar work ethic. Tonight, we're coming in here and talking about the blue-collar uniforms on the Auburn Hills Police Department. There are a ton of them here tonight, and they are armed. We also have a lot of security guards and some plainclothes officers in the crowd, all here for the security after what happened a week ago. We have 50% more officers. Now, Shaquille O'Neal says none of these guys have to worry about him going into the stands. This is a guy who has trained with the LA Police Department. He's also contacted the Miami Police Department, and he wants to be a sheriff. So can you imagine, Jim, 10, 15 years from now, he's going to be in the stands. I don't think any player is going to rush into him when he's a cop.
They'll be saying, there's a new sheriff in town. And the starting lineups up front for the Miami Heat. It'll be Udonis Haslem and Rasul Butler at the forward, Shaq in the middle, and up front for Detroit, Prince and McDyess and Rasheed Wallace in the backcourt, Eddie Jones and Dwayne Wade for Miami, Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups for Detroit. Ron Olesiak, Tom Washington, and Eric Lewis are the officials tonight. This is the first of 3 meetings this year between the Heat and the Pistons.
I think for the Detroit Pistons, it's critical that they get off to a good offensive start. Much has been said about their defense, but if you can't score the ball and your opponent is scoring, you're always playing uphill. So they've got to get something from Rasheed Wallace, McDyess, and Prince early in the ball game.
Here we go. Rasheed Wallace steps in against Shaquille O'Neal. It's the Heat controlling the tip. Dwayne Wade at the point. Billups guards him.
One of the things we should watch for when the Heat have the ball is how does Shaquille O'Neal get the ball? This is a clean catch and a better defensive reaction to make the save after a good pass from Shaquille O'Neal.
And it turns into a turnover nonetheless for the Heat. So Detroit playing its final home game for a while. They'll open a 5-game trip tomorrow in Milwaukee. And the Pistons at home have won 4 and lost 1. Rip Hamilton. Eddie Jones the rebound up ahead to Wade. Butler finds O'Neal. Shaq against Wallace with McDyess waiting in the wings. And the rebound to Rasheed Wallace.
Well, it's evident that tonight the Detroit Pistons are going to try to let Shaquille O'Neal catch the ball and then defend after. In 2 out of the last 3 ball games, they have been sitting in his lap. He's not been able to catch it. Wallace
left wide open, and Wade picks off the rebound. Miami, a good road club this year at 4-2. The Heat overall at 9-14, playing game number 14 tonight, and a foul called on Wallace. Make that McDyess over the back of Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, they've had Wallace on him early in the initial tries, and both times they've allowed him to catch it with 1 foot just inside the paint. First time he dumped it in to Udonis Haslem, and then the second time he took the shot, but he's catching it much too deep. They double him now.
And that time he had 3 guys on him. Not everyone utilizes the hack-a-shack. And we're talking with Heat coach Stan Van Gundy before the game. Although Shaq not shooting well from the free throw line again this year. The ball last touched by Miami, so Detroit will throw in. I think you see Shaq's numbers. He's a big reason why with that 57% that they're shooting 47% as a team from the field. Stan Van Gundy in his second year as the head coach of the Heat. But Shaq is also a reason why they shoot 65% from the free throw line as a team. He's at 43. Hamilton. Both teams pitching a shutout. We've played almost 2 minutes.
Well, Rip Hamilton came in there with a coat that you only wear in the North Pole, and so he may be cold all night. It's cold outside, but it is not as cold as Rip Hamilton was dressed for. This is a shot that Udonis Haslem has to make.
And does.
Teams have been daring Haslem to make that 17, 18-foot shot.
You know, he started off the year, he was shooting great. He was among the league leaders. In fact, was leading the league for a while in field goal percentage. And then he had a couple of games. I know he had, I believe, a 3 for 17. Here's McDyess. And on the way in, a foul called on Haslam. There's Larry Brown, who, if he picks up a victory tonight, he will move ahead of Red Auerbach on the NBA coaching victory list for coaches. That would be his 939th.
Well, here at the Palace, this is the first night for Larry Brown with no crutches and no special chair. So he's on his way to recovery after the hip surgery, which has been a little bit more difficult than he thought. Wallace open again.
On the feed from Prince. And O'Neal gets it out to Wade. 2.5 minutes. Detroit yet to score, and Haslam has all 4 points so far.
You know, the Miami Heat last year were a sprint team. They're not quite the same as they were a year ago, but they will still try to run, and they will challenge the Pistons to try to get back defensively.
Tayshaun Prince thought he had the lane, and then Shaq appeared. Tayshaun found out what it's like to have that new sheriff in town. Butler on the jam, and so the starting forward tandem with all 6 points for Miami.
And Rasul Butler needed that jam. He is a guy that can shoot the ball, but since he's been put into the starting lineup, he's been pressing. And I think he wants to show everybody that he can be a starter in the NBA, and the results are no field goals. Hamilton.
Apparently, someone had knocked the ball loose. That was not a travel. Dwayne Wade. Eddie Jones driving on Prince. Rejected by Wallace. Up ahead to Prince, and now to Hamilton, and the Pistons are on the board. But it went better than 3.5 minutes before they scored.
That's their big story this season, and now 10 out of 11 games, they have been behind at the end of the first quarter. They're trying to break that drought, so we'll find out how they run tonight as Neal comes in deep.
Has the shot blocked, but a foul called, and Shaq will be on the line. Rasheed Wallace picking up the personal.
Prince does a nice move to get down the middle. You know what Shaq does a lot? He gets the ball, and then he knocks the person down. Rasheed Wallace rejecting Eddie Jones. So they've got some guys that react well and blocking shots, and it may be tough to get in the paint.
Shaq missing his first free throw attempt of the night. Shaq at 62% for a career high in 02-03, I should say. But both last year and this year, less than 50%. And he's 50% for the night. Miami by 5.
I am one that never gets too excited about whether Shaq has a good free throwing game or a bad one, because, you know, he has so many bad ones that he just plays to his number.
McDyess with a rebound on the miss by Wallace. Antonio. And Howe. First field goal for Antonio McDyess, who's averaging just under 9, but his numbers obviously are up as his minutes are, as he has been inserted into the starting lineup in the absence of Ben Wallace.
McDyess now takes a turn on Wallace, and Butler plays.
Butler knocks out the 3.
Butler can shoot. He really can stick it, and that's a shot that he made a lot last year as a reserve. And as I said before, it's been the pressure of being a starter that has hurt him.
Prince tries out the 3 ball, and it's working for him. Tayshaun Prince, who came into the game just 3 for 16 from 3, answers the 3 by Butler. Wade splits the double team. Butler on the miss. Hamilton the rebound. Hamilton into Eddie Jones. Offensive foul on Richard Hamilton.
Rip Hamilton is a player who's going to be aggressive early whenever he gets in transition, and this time he tried to cross over. Eddie Jones is right there. The call goes in favor of Eddie Jones and the Miami Heat.
Larry Brown making a change. He's got Eldon Campbell in the lineup now to match up with Shaq. McDyess is out. The pass into Shaq broken up. Detroit to steal.
That's one of the concerns of Stan Van Gundy. They don't feed the post very well. I mean, it's hard to miss Shaq, and you think about how easy it was for the Los Angeles Lakers to get him the ball, and it's much more difficult as Wade gets all the way into paint.
And he's tied up by Billups.
The jump ball.
But, you know, talking about feeding the post, it's a little easier to feed the post if you got some perimeter shooters out there. What Stan Van Gundy was saying. He said, when you got Robert Horry as your 4, you can space the floor a little better.
Yeah, you've got to have people that can make shots, or they're going to sit in Shaq's lap, and they're going to dare Udonis Haslem, Rasul Butler, Eddie Jones, who are all struggling right now to make shots.
And it's Detroit controlling the tip. Halfway through the first quarter. First game of our doubleheader tonight on ESPN. The Staples Center with the Kings and Lakers to follow. 8 to shoot for Rasheed. Rasheed Wallace has his first 2. So the Pistons, after trailing by 5, are back to within 1.
And he may not admit it, but the Pistons need Rasheed Wallace to score the basketball. So even though he's missed 3 out of 4, he's got to continue to attack.
Shaquille O'Neal drawing another foul and a timeout taken. 5:38 for the first. By 6, the Pistons have rallied to within 1. And with more on the defending world champs, let's go to Rachel Nichols.
Now, Joe Dumars brought 2 titles to Detroit before finally retiring in 1999. And then last year, he did it all over again. He did it by using the old team's recipe for success and applying it to his new team. What exactly is Chef Joe Dumars' secret recipe? Well, you get a nice spoonful of Ben Wallace in 2000, throw in a little Tayshaun Prince at the draft, get a pinch of Chauncey Billups, trade with Washington for a dash of Rip Hamilton, then you mix it all together with some Larry Brown, and then February last year he decided, sprinkle in some Rasheed Wallace on top, stir it up, 350 degrees, David Stern pops up with your championship trophy. Now, there are a lot of similarities between the '89 team and the '04 team that won titles. You've got older coaches with Chuck Daly and Larry Brown. The finals MVP of both teams were relatively unheralded players, and Rip Hamilton and Isaiah Thomas were both some of the lowest scorers on championship teams.
And the other similarity, strong defense, played by the bad boys of the late '80s and early '90s. And these championship Pistons.
Well, they are one of the teams that got everybody in the country thinking that defense wins you championships, but that team also could score. Last year's Detroit Pistons team got some very timely scoring from Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups to put the Los Angeles Lakers away. So you need a combination, and you have to have offense which energizes your defense. When you're not scoring, your defense flattens out. So we'll see if the Pistons here at home tonight can drive home the ball at the offensive end.
They've got a chance at the lead this possession with 12 to shoot. Eldon Campbell. And the rebound cleared by Rasul Butler.
They have 2 guys in Shaq's lap right now. And that is where the outside guys have got to knock down these shots.
Underneath it. Good pass in close quarters. Shaq muscled it up. Drew the foul on Campbell. That's 14 fouls on Detroit. And Pistons president Joe Dumars looking on.
The thing I like most about Joe Dumars in putting this team together, he has had an idea of what he wanted this team to look like. One of the first guys he went out and got was Chauncey Billups. And Billups was at Minnesota having his best season to that date in the NBA. And he said, this is the kind of guy I want here in Detroit to get us back on the road to success. And he continued to add players like that. So this is Joe Dumars' basketball team. And he looks from behind. He's always thinking, what do I need to make this team better?
Billups right down the well. Chauncey Billups with his first points of the game to tie it up.
Now look at the defense on Shaq as they try to get him in a position. You'll see 2 and 3 guys in front of him, and this is where the Miami Heat must adjust. 9 on the clock.
For Butler. Haslem, missed steal by Hamilton. Shaq, the offensive rebound on the dive cut. Haslem and a foul called. Udonis Haslem will be on the line. If that foul is on Campbell, that's his second. The Pistons are over the limit. It is on Eldon Campbell.
If you're going to miss a lot, then you better chase a lot, and that's what the Miami Heat are doing right now here early in the ball game. They're getting active on the offensive glass. Stan Van Gundy, right in the year of Ronald Lisiak. I got to have more calls.
Haslam, a good free throw shooter. Looking for a place to get all the latest fantasy basketball news? Watch NBA TV Fantasy Hoops every night at 1 a.m. on NBA TV for the only show on TV dedicated to fantasy basketball. 2 free throws made by Haslam, and Miami back on top. Phillips against Wade. Campbell finds Prince. The shot clock at 10. Hamilton against Eddie Jones. Campbell missed the tip dunk, but Rasheed Wallace tracks it down. So the Pistons again with a chance to tie or get the lead with a long one.
And let's remember, most of the Pistons offense is perimeter oriented. It's a jump shooting team. They don't get a lot of easy shots.
Tayshaun Prince with his second three-pointer of the quarter as Detroit has taken the lead. Prince just 3 for 16 starting tonight, but he's been right on from three-point range so far. Dwayne Wade very quiet in the early going. Gives it up to Haslam. Dwayne Wade, the leading scorer for the Heat.
I think their idea is to try to get Shaq involved first and haven't been able to do it.
Nice touch to Campbell. Campbell again missing, and O'Neal blocks and clears his next attempt. Wade's pass deflected, but right to Haslam. 8 points for Udonis Haslam, and Miami back in front by 1.
Haslam is having trouble with that jump shot, but he is making a terrific scramble at the offensive end to come up with some offensive production.
Hamilton around a Wallace pick. And a foul on Eddie Jones. So the Detroit Pistons had the lead, but Eldon Campbell unable to finish here. But at the other end, the Heat powering their way into the lead with 2:33 left in the quarter. The Pistons by 1 moments ago. Coach Larry Brown earning a technical foul.
Technical foul, Larry Brown.
Larry Brown having a bit of a running commentary in recent games about the officiating. Said the way the referees are calling it is influencing us to legislate against us because you want to change the style of play in the league. Just make the guys improve.
What he said tonight before the ball game is they've just got to go out and play. They've got to forget about how the officials are calling the game and go out and play their game, and they'll get better. And I think sometimes teams, when they're struggling, they always point to the official as the culprit. If they're winning games, they don't point to the official. If they're making shots and they're only shooting 30% now, they don't point to the official.
That free throw made by Eddie Jones. Since last Friday's ugly incident here in Detroit, technicals are down.
All right. How many fouls did you say they have to use on Shaq? Because they're bringing in another guy.
They've got Derek Coleman in there.
Coleman comes in for Eldon Campbell, who has 2 already.
Well, do they Darko or do they not Darko? That will tell you how many fouls they have to use against Shaq. Well, who is out of the game right now.
Yeah, he's out of the game, and it should be interesting to see how.
And right away, they go right to the rim. Rasheed Wallace with his second field goal. Michael Goliak in the game for Miami in place of O'Neal.
You know, Wednesday night when they played against the Cleveland Cavaliers and another miss from the outside for Haslam, and both Coleman and Prince come together, so the Heat will get it again. Cleveland team made a concerted effort to get out early and challenge them in getting back, and we'll find out whether the Heat take a page from that same offensive attack.
Goliak. Michael Goliak putting Miami back in front. Less than 2 minutes for the quarter. Is Dwayne Wade taking a shot yet for Miami?
Well, he had that one attempt, which it was blocked in a jump ball situation, but he has not looked to score the ball yet. 6 on the clock for Frank.
Coleman. Rebounded by Doliak. Gives it up to Wade. Here comes Wade. Little contact. Taking it to the rim. He got knocked down, so Dwayne Wade with 2 shots coming. Well, following our game here, ESPN's NBA doubleheader continues. Chris Webber and the Kings taking on Kobe Bryant and the Lakers from the Staples Center. NBA Friday coast to coast at 10:30 Eastern on ESPN. Dwayne Wade on the free throw line for Miami, who has had such a brilliant start to his second year in the NBA.
What Dwayne Wade does well, besides having extra gear, is explode off the ground and gets up and is able to hold his position, hide the ball, draw contact, gets his first 2 points. But Wade is a dramatically improved basketball player because he's worked on his perimeter game and because he's the decision maker now. And Dwayne Wade, along with LeBron James, dramatic difference in first year, second year. And now they're saying, well, they may be the 2 best players in the league.
Well, Wade has picked up the personal foul, his first. These are the first free throws for the Pistons so far, with 1:16 left in the quarter. Chauncey Billups, a good free throw shooter, 92%. Palace of Auburn Hills. The Detroit Pistons tonight hosting the Miami Heat. With Rachel Nichols and Steve Jones, I'm Jim Durham. Glad to have you with us. Hope you're enjoying your Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And Billups with 4 points in the contest.
Lindsey Hunter comes in the ball game and Tayshaun Prince sits down. And normally when Hunter's in the game, you're going to get ball pressure defense. Wade has that one stripped.
By Hunter out of bounds to Miami with 13 on the shot clock. Damon Jones, number 19, checking in for the Heat. And Rasul Butler goes out. So Miami goes down in size to match the Pistons. Wade. And on the rebound, a loose ball foul on McDyess. Antonio McDyess upset with that call, his second personal. You don't see it very often when the guy on the inside snapper gets hit with the loose ball foul.
You call for Darko, and you finally get him, and Larry Brown still reacted in a negative way to feel that the officials are not letting his team play. McDyess will sit down.
Milicic has played so sparingly. I don't know this for a fact, but I would believe this would be the earliest he's appeared in any game this year, probably. Haslam on the foul line.
Well, he's been with us for 2 seasons, and this would be the earliest in 2 seasons.
He's played 4 minutes. Now, the other night, remember, they had 8 players dressed against Charlotte in the double overtime game. 3 fouled out. That may have been when he played all of his minutes. The 2 free throws by Haslam. Haslam in double figures already for Miami. 12 to shoot. Coleman. And Doliak takes it down.
One thing that the Pistons have to do is play basketball. They got to get away from the officiating, and they've just got to find a way to get a rhythm and get control of the game. Whenever you start looking the other way, you get yourself in trouble. Haslam inside again. He's got 12 points here in the first quarter of play.
And he averages a little over 11. Shot clock at 15, not quite 2 difference. Miami has equaled its largest lead. It's Billups against Wade. And Doliak knocked it away with 2 to shoot. Missed attempt by Hunter. Coleman missing at the buzzer. And Udonis Haslem leading the way for Miami with 12 points in the first quarter and shooting it pretty well.
Udonis Haslem found a lot of different ways to score the basketball just with activity. He has done the job for them, and there's a lot of people here on Thanksgiving weekend to see the Diesel who comes to town, and a lot of physical play and a lot of whistles. We'll be back for more.
I don't have that. He's fine with that. If he comes through you, then I can take care of that. All right. If you maintain your possession, then I can work with that.
And what players want to know is, when am I maintaining my position? Because it seems like I'm always taking the first hit, and Shaq is creating the contact. But what Elton Campbell does a lot, and where he gets a lot of fouls, is he puts his hands up, and then the ball comes into him rather than just let Shaq pump him and get the call going his way. Front court points in favor of Udonis Haslem and the Miami Heat.
Detroit in possession as the second quarter gets underway. Milicic against O'Neal. Hunter missing on the perimeter shot. Christian Laettner is on for Miami. He takes down the rebound. And he also have Shandon Anderson out there for the first time.
The big concern for Detroit is making shots. And if you don't make shots, then it's tough to defend. Shaq finally gets his first field goal.
4 points for O'Neal. Biggest lead for Miami. Lindsey Hunter starts it with Milicic. Shaq on him, so Milicic pulls him out on the floor, and off the ball, contact, and a personal foul against Miami.
Well, you said they would use all of their big people in order to try to defend against Shaq, and Shaq overpowers Derek Coleman. If you let him catch it down that deep, you can see that the strength of Shaq is just too much to deal with. You've got to get to him before he can turn. Otherwise, you're in trouble. O'Neal with the rebound.
On the miss by Prince. Damon Jones and Eddie Jones. Laettner, O'Neal, and Shandon Anderson. 10 on the shot clock for the Heat. Stolen by Hamilton. Rip Hamilton on a run out. Hamilton with 4, and the Pistons are within 6.
A long, slow bounce pass allowed Rip Hamilton to step in to make that steal. Prince is going to pick up the foul.
And this is the call that Larry Brown doesn't like, that they're really enforcing this year, the hand check on the perimeter.
If they're calling it, then the players have to adjust. And Tayshaun Prince has got to realize he's got to move his feet. If you don't move your feet and you're trying to play with your hand, you're going to get the whistle called against you.
Smush Parker in the lineup, number 7 for the Pistons. Lindsey Hunter is out. Parker guarding Damon Jones. Eddie Jones makes the entry pass to O'Neal. Shaq has it blocked by Milicic, but a foul on Coleman. The fans reacting to the Darko defensive play.
Well, Coleman was taking away the middle. He was going to try to make sure that Shaq was not able to come across, and he spins across, and Coleman is just saying, where is the help? And then it's a lot.
Yep.
Falling on you.
Shaq back to the line where he's 2 of 6.
But, you know, when we talk about Shaq's percentage, whatever his career number is, that's basically what he's going to shoot for this season. Some season it may be in the 60s, but most of the time he's going to be right around that career number. He gets the first. And Stan Van Gundy said, well, they're looking better now. They're looking better now, and I'm not so worried about the hack of Shaq, but, you know, at some point in a close ball game, if he's out on the floor, you're going to put him on the line.
So O'Neal splits again, so that gives him 3 for 8. Parker, Coleman, Prince against Anderson. And a foul on Shandon Anderson. 2 team fouls on the Heat.
Detroit has just got to find a way to generate some easy offense. Every possession is a challenge, and everyone is standing watching one player work one-on-one. It's going to be tough to improve on this 29%. Look at the free throw difference, and you know, if you're a coach that Larry Brown is looking at. So how many times have we been to the line? 3 now? And they've been 15 already? We can't win.
Although 8 of their 15 is Shaquille O'Neal, and he's missed 5 of them. And now the Pistons miss their first. Damon Jones comes to get it, guarded by Parker.
And what they're trying to do with Smush Parker and Lindsey Hunter is send those guys down the floor and really put pressure on the ball.
Leitner back outside with a pass, and off the ball a whistle. Foul is on Shaquille O'Neal. NBA TV Saturday tomorrow. The Pistons at Milwaukee. Coverage starts at 9 p.m. TNT Thursday. Houston at Dallas. And that's a doubleheader day. Cleveland at Denver on TNT on Thursday. Also on ESPN Radio. 16 to shoot. Coleman to Prince. Nice move by Tayshaun Prince.
Very nice move by Prince. He caught it deep and then reacted, but was able to stay within 3 feet of the hoop to give him an easy score. Good pressure by Detroit. Turnover.
Here comes Milicic. And a timeout, Miami. Darko Milicic, in his brief 2-year career, maybe with his finest moment offensively.
Well, the one thing that Larry Brown is going to talk about is not the finish, but the fact that he stepped in defensively, made a steal, and was able to push it the other way, which is igniting their defense. But it starts with Smush Parker and Rip Hamilton. They're pressuring the ball, which will make those passes, longer passes. They can step in and make those plays, and Milicic was up and ready to get his first 2 of the game.
And just his 4 points of the season. He's got 2 field goals this year. We'll be back.
Tim Legler in the studio in New York. A Taco Bell update. Drew Gooden had a terrific first half, Tim. 8 for 8 from the field.
Yeah, and you know, when this guy plays well and Big Z up front, this team is as good as any team in the Eastern Conference. Problem is, this guy's been kind of inconsistent, but obviously Gooden and Ilgauskas are feeling it in the first half tonight against Boston.
And you see the big man with some range out there as well. Cavs shooting 59%. It's been over 7 years since the last time they won in Boston. Magic all over the Hawks right now. Steve Francis off to a great start. 18 points, 5 of 5 from the field. Back to Jim and Steve.
All right, John. Darko Milicic with his first 2 points tonight. Only his 3rd and 4th points of the season.
Well, you see the pressure, which creates the opportunity for Darko to step in and throw this one down, and the reaction not only from the fans, but the bench as well. And this is a kid that just needs to play. What I say about young players is they aren't any good on the bench, and they will never be basketball players until they get in and understand the good, the bad, and ugly that goes with learning in the NBA.
The Pistons have scored 7 of the last 8. There's Shaquille O'Neal. And Shaq with his 2nd field goal. 7 points working. 5 in the quarter.
And he is the only Miami Heat to score.
Hamilton exchanges with Parker. Damon Jones on Smush. Rip Hamilton missing. Leitner the rebound. Leitner with a lob under to O'Neal. Shaq is fouled by Milicic, and he looks at the official. He said, I'm an innocent bystander here. But Shaq goes back to the line. NBA TV Saturday. The Pistons at Milwaukee tomorrow night. Coverage at 9 o'clock. TNT Thursday. Houston at Dallas and Cleveland at Denver. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. ESPN next Friday. Detroit at San Antonio and Indiana at Sacramento. The coverage starts at 8.
O'Neal is doing something that he used to do a lot with the Lakers, and that's early transition and running right down the middle of the floor and turning around right in front of the bucket to get the pass. And when he does that, no matter who you are, you're going to end up fouling him. He misses both free throws.
Milicic with the rebound. Chauncey Billups back in the lineup for the Pistons. Billups against Dwayne Wade, who's returned from Miami. And the shot clock at 12. Here's Milicic against O'Neal. Darko has it blocked by Shaq. Dwayne Wade trying to set up the perimeter player. Shandon Anderson finds Damon Jones.
Well, Damon Jones is telling Shaq to get down deep against Milicic. They overplay.
Shaq inside trying to hand off to Wade, cutting to the hoop. Detroit to steal, and Parker with the jam. First 2 points for Smush Parker. The Pistons are within 2. They have been down for most of the night as Damon Jones lines up a 3. Damon Jones shooting it very well from three-point range this season.
Well, he's always been a good spot-up shooter where the Pistons have gotten back in the game is applying pressure on the ball, and now they can continue to get transition opportunities. The percentage comes up, they get in the ball game. Coleman.
O'Neal collects the rebound, and a foul called on Miami. You know, from our angle, it looked like Milicic was over his shoulder, but the foul is on Shaq.
Shaq was holding Milicic down, and it doesn't take a much of a Shaq to hold you down. Darko coming out of the ball game. He went by the coach and said, I'm not tired.
And Shaq is going out as well with his second personal foul. Doliak in for him. Rasheed Wallace back out for Detroit.
Well, with an energized defense, we'll find out whether Dwayne Wade can create some offense for the Miami Heat. Wade has been basically a passive offensive player to this point, but they're going to need him to step up.
Rasul Butler got a hand on that for Miami. Leitner against Rasheed Wallace. And Rasheed clears the rebound. We played over 5 minutes here in the second quarter at the Palace. Miami with this 5-point advantage, 10 to shoot for Detroit. Eldon Campbell. Parker was trying to do something spectacular, and the Heat end up with it. Damon Jones, Shandon Anderson. Eldon Campbell the rebound.
The book on Shandon Anderson, give him that open jumper against Portland. He was making that shot to get an offensive foul against Tayshaun Prince. Damon Jones goes flying to the floor. He got elbow in the head.
That's 3 fouls on Prince, and he immediately goes to the bench. Rip Hamilton coming in for him.
Number 32, Richard Hamilton. Number 32, Tayshaun.
Well, you know, Tayshaun Prince is saying, what can I do? He created the contact, and then he fell off, and you call a foul against me.
Larry Brown, who already has 1 technical tonight, up on his feet, letting the officials know he wasn't pleased with that call either. And the ball knocked out of bounds by the Pistons, so the Heat will throw in with 13 on the shot clock. And they'll inbound the ball with 6:18 left when we return after this timeout. Larry Brown still letting the officials know how he feels about a few of these calls. 5-point lead for Miami.
ESPN's presentation of NBA Friday Coast to Coast. Brought to you by the new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months. An American revolution. And the Kodak Easy Share system. Digital made simple. Prints made beautiful.
Welcome back to Detroit with Rachel Nichols and Steve Jones. I'm Jim Durham. Shaquille O'Neal on the bench for the Heat right now, but they lead the game by 5. Shaq with a couple of fouls. And Shaquille O'Neal tonight, Snapper, 15 touches in 14 minutes. That's a little better than 1 a minute.
But that's a dramatic increase. Over the last 5 ball games, he has not really consistently seen the ball. Defenses have been sitting in his lap, so they've made a concerted effort tonight to have the offensive presence of Shaq have an impact on the game, and he has done that. 2 personal fouls. They don't want him to get the 3rd. It's a chance for the Heat to call back in this game. They've been hanging around at 4 or 5 points. And Dwayne Wade is yet to get involved offensively.
He's only attempted 1 shot. He gives it up to Leitner. And Doliak on the follow. Doliak again. The ball last touched by Miami out of bounds to Detroit. with 6:07 left in the half. Let's go to Rachel Nichols with more on Shaquille.
Well, obviously, after the incident last Friday here at the Palace, there's concerns for fan safety, but there's also been concerns for player safety. Shaquille O'Neal says he's not concerned about his safety. Part of the reason is he's Shaquille O'Neal, but also he's got Jerome Crawford next to him. He's the guy right behind Shaq on the bench. He's in there for every Heat game. Jerome Crawford is Shaq's uncle. It's his mother's brother. So obviously, he's known Shaq since he was a baby Shaq, and he's Shaq's bodyguard, confidant, friend. If Shaq has a problem, Jerome is the one who's going to take care of it. He's with him everywhere he goes.
All right, we've got 5:55 left in the half as the Pistons bring it in.
We've been talking about Shaq as the biggest guy on the planet. He is the bodyguard?
Yeah, I was going to say. 3 to shoot for Wallace. And the rebound to Eddie Jones.
And that's what I always say to Jerome. You got the best job in the world.
Shaq ought to be your bodyguard, Jerome. 16 to shoot. Damon Jones for 3. Campbell the rebound.
Well, Haslam is back in, along with Eddie Jones.
Phillips gets turned away, and as Rasheed Wallace comes down with a rebound, a foul on Miami. Joliak called for the foul. Miami is over the limit.
Every time the Detroit Pistons have tried to make an early push, something good's happened for them offensively. When they have had to set up and work, they're struggling. Their percentage is very, very bad here in the first half of play. They're shooting in the 30s against the 47% of the Miami Heat. Well, you can't win a game if you can't make a shot.
You are correct, sir. And not only that, their leading scorer is on the bench with 3 fouls, Tayshaun Prince. We were wondering where the offense was going to come from for Detroit tonight. Well, it's been coming from him. A couple of hits from 3-point range, 9 points scored.
And as you would like to say, that is it, my friend. And Wallace missed both of those free throws badly. They were both long. And at the shoot-around this morning, he was stringing them in. 8, 9, and 10 in a row. And, I think it's a game conditioning that's affecting the free throwing of Rasheed Wallace.
Wade has to come back for the loose ball. 7 to shoot. Wade finally offers one and hits it. Dwayne Wade with his first field goal. He's only attempted 2 shots. 4 points for Wade. Miami with a 7-point lead. Its biggest lead has been 8. Chauncey Billups against Wade. Hamilton curls in and gets the roll. Rip Hamilton has just put his autograph on the game. 6 points for Hamilton. 4.5 for the half. Wade again. Milicic gets rid of it. It's an important trip for the Pistons. Parker nails the 3. 5 in a row for Detroit. And a 2-point game as we near the 4-minute mark for the half.
When the Pistons have scored, it has been in transition at the offensive end, early offense, and they have to stay with that attitude. Don't have to fight the pressure. Joliak wide open.
Oh, yeah. And the rebound spanked off the glass by Milicic and cleared by Hamilton. A pass to Wallace out of bounds to Miami. Eldon Campbell returns. Lindsey Hunter comes back for Detroit. Shaquille O'Neal.
Now, just for a line, they're trying to keep Darko Milicic fresh. And he gets a short breather. He'll be back in this ball game as Eldon Campbell has 2 fouls.
Well, we laugh, but this is the most he's played in any game this year. And you see the turnover situation. Turnovers and points off. Dwayne Wade against Billups. The shot clock at 8. Haslam finds Eddie Jones for 3. Detroit out on the run. Lindsey Hunter slows it down. He didn't have numbers.
But Eddie Jones is another player that's been struggling with this offense, and they need him to score as Rip Hamilton comes back with 2 more.
Rip Hamilton has 8, 6 in the quarter. The Pistons pull even. 7 straight points by Detroit.
Gonna look for Shaq, and let's see how Eldon Campbell and the Pistons try to defend.
Pretty good job of it that time. Haslam trying to go up is fouled by Rasheed Wallace. And a timeout with 2:46 left in the half.
ESPN's presentation of NBA Friday Coast to Coast. Brought to you by Wrangler, makers of the Wrangler Jeans Company. A new generation of Wrangler.
John Saunders, Tim Legler, and Stephen A. Smith coming up on the Toyota Halftime Show. We'll talk about Hubie Brown's decision to retire.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, with the first half for the Detroit Pistons, got an emotional lift out of Darko Milicic.
That's right.
Of all places.
That is true. I am shocked. But in thinking about Hubie Brown, you know what? He's leaving the game of basketball to enjoy the game of life. There's at least one other person in the league that could learn from something from him.
That is all coming up when we are done with the first half on the Toyota Halftime Show. Jim and Steve, back to you.
All right, John, a first half with the game tied at 34. They talked about Darko Milicic. He had a open court breakaway dunk that brought the crowd to its feet, over 22,000.
Well, let's give it to him right. As the Pistons are on a 7-0 run, he had an impact on the game. And this is what they've been waiting for. This is the number 2 pick in the draft, and everybody's saying, when is Darko going to show up and play like he's played in practice? Well, he's demonstrated some of it tonight. So he's getting some time, and Larry Brown will come back to him in the second half.
Udonis Haslem on the free throw line for the Heat. That's his first point of the second quarter, 13 in the game. Haslem, a good free throw shooter this year, 81%.
Early transition offenses allowed the Detroit Pistons to score the points that they have in that 7-0 run. Let's see how they work in a half-court set.
With Phillips out front, guarded by Wade. Hamilton against Eddie Jones. Campbell, and a foul called on Udonis Haslem. Second foul on Haslem. Miami over the foul limit, so Eldon Campbell on the free throw line for the Pistons.
And that's the same kind of foul that Tayshaun Prince picked up. Out on the floor, putting his hands out as Eldon Campbell drove through the basket. So Larry Brown's got to see a little bit of equity here. They're making calls on the other team as well.
Eldon Campbell, 85% free throw shooter this year. That's his first point tonight. 2 free throws by Campbell puts the Pistons up by 1. They led by 1 earlier in the game. They've trailed by as many as 8.
Dan Van Gundy's concern is if Dwayne Wade does not have the ball in his hand, they don't get the quality shots that they need. Deep miss from Damon Jones.
Yeah, but he's 1 for 2 this trip as he strokes that one. Damon Jones with his second 3-point field goal tonight. Damon Jones came in shooting 45% from 3. Less than 2 minutes for the half. Coleman. Campbell had it slapped away. Shaq, right?
Right.
And Shaquille O'Neal has his third.
Mistake for Shaquille O'Neal. He let Eldon Campbell become Shaquille O'Neal. He let him get too deep. Whenever you receive the ball right in front of the bucket, it's tough to react. It's tough to not end up getting the foul. O'Neal will come out of the ball game
with Michael Doliak in to replace him. Campbell back to the free throw line. Just made a couple free throws a moment ago. 3 in a row from the line.
And if you look at Eldon Campbell, you see this guy is no lightweight. He is big and wide. So if he gets the ball down deep, he can create some problems. And when Campbell gets going, life is much easier for the Detroit Pistons.
Well, he's going from the line. 4 straight free throws. Detroit pulls even. Dwayne Wade handles against Lindsey Hunter. And Milicic going back to the scorer's table for Detroit.
I told you, impact.
Wade, nice change of direction move by Dwayne Wade, but he overshot the rim into the hands of Hamilton. Billups. Less than a minute and a half for the half. The Pistons looking to retake the lead. Chauncey Billups for 3, and Detroit has its biggest lead of the night. Chauncey Billups with 7. So we've had a 11-point swing in this quarter. Miami at one time led by 8. 1 minute left.
Well, whenever Shaq goes out, this is the guy that's got to get involved, and he's had a tough time scoring the ball, missing twice.
Phillips to the loose ball. Lindsey Hunter. Phillips again for 3. And the rebound knocked out of bounds. Let's take a look at our Chevrolet game track here in the first half.
Udonis Haslem was the guy that got the Miami Heat off to a terrific start. He had 12 in the first quarter and just hustled his way into it. Shaq just was imposing with his presence. He's out of the ball game with 3 fouls, but he's got 7 and 7. And they've got to figure out a way to keep him in the game. And then it has been the increased field goal percentage from the Detroit Pistons, which has been created by early transition offense to get back in the game.
3-point shooting, the Heat 3 of 7. The Pistons 4 of 5. Milicic in the lineup now. In deep to Darvin Ham, and Ham draws the foul at the rim. So Darvin Ham back to the line for Detroit. Doliak is called for the foul. 2 fouls on Doliak. 3 fouls on O'Neal. We were talking about how it would be the Pistons having to take so many fouls at that 5 spot, but it's the Heat, in fact, in foul trouble there.
Well, the Heat are in foul trouble, but they don't have 30 fouls to waste either in the middle. So Shaq has got to stay out of foul trouble. And as the Detroit Pistons rotate people in and out on him, he's got to find a way to increase his offensive production. Ham missed the first.
The way Milicic has played, I don't know if you wanted him taking fouls. You want his availability. The Pistons with their biggest lead in 35 seconds for the half. Damon Jones against Lindsey Hunter. Doliak gives it to Wade. Dwayne Wade, a spectacular move to the baseline. Wade has 6.
And Wade hasn't shot enough, so he's going to have to shoot more in the second half as well.
2 for 7.
When Wade and O'Neal combine for the 50 points a game that they're capable of, the Miami Heat have an easy time winning the game.
Running out of time, and there's Phillips for 3. As the long rebound comes off to Miami, and the first half has come to an end. The Miami Heat were up 6 at the quarter. They led by as many as 8 points in the second quarter, but it's the Pistons who hit the locker room with a 2-point lead, and Darko Milicic with perhaps his finest outing as a pro since he came into the league last season. Milicic off the bench for Detroit. Now let's check in with Rachel Nichols.
Down here with Rip Hamilton. Rip, you guys have said you've had a hard time getting the energy up since Ben Wallace has been out. How'd it go today?
It's going pretty good. You know, I think that we helping each other out. We're talking. You know, our biggest thing this year has been our effort, and tonight we're really showing it.
You guys have done a pretty good job containing Dwayne Wade. He just scored only his 6th point. What's working for you guys there?
We're just trying to stay down and make him shoot from the outside and defend him as 5, you know. And as long as we stay on the string, we'll be all right.
Thank you. We're going back upstairs to JD.
All right, thanks a lot, Rachel. Coming up at the half, it's the Toyota halftime show with reports on UB Brown's retirement, and the speculation has already begun as to who might go in there and take the place permanently should Lionel Hollins not evolve into the permanent head coach. And Mike Fratello's name comes up. He's in the house tonight. Right now, the Pistons with a 2-point lead at the half.
Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show.
Well, Detroit trying to regain their championship form from a year ago. They spotted the Heat 8 points, but have come back to lead it at halftime 42-40. Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show. John Saunders, Tim Legler, Stephen A. Smith here in Times Square. We'll get our shopping in while the second half is going on. But the big question in this one is the Big Daddy. The Diesel's supposed to make the difference, and thus far he has played very, very well in a lot of foul trouble early in the season. but just 7 points in the first half.
Well, he's been passive. He's played well, but he's been passive. And for what my sources tell me, very, very close to Shaq, they tell me that he's trying to defer to Dwayne Wade because he feels he made a mistake during that maturation process that Kobe was going through years ago. Kobe was young. Penny Hardaway was young. He doesn't want to alienate Dwayne Wade, but he needs to be more aggressive because he's the Diesel.
Well, and he is, and I think when he needs to be down a stretch of games, he can assume his dominance on the games. But it's not such a bad idea to let Dwayne Wade have a lot of rope right now and let this kid grow because he is on the verge of superstardom. And Shaq knows come playoff time, he's going to need not only himself, but another guy playing at that level. So he's letting Dwayne Wade kind of do that, let him grow up right in front of our eyes.
7 points, 7 rebounds, but the big number, 3 fouls on Shaquille O'Neal as Detroit, and Larry Brown is throwing everybody at him. Now we're going to talk about another Brown this time. Hubie Brown, a guy who's become synonymous with the NBA, despite the fact that he went to television for a long period of time, has decided he is going to step down as the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. And guys, we can get some fashion tips.
I was going to say,
look at the beard.
All those bad suits and jackets aside, seriously.
He looked like our producer Mike McQuaid before Mike McQuaid got a haircut.
Only when he dresses up, though. Yeah. When Mike dresses up.
Well, here's some of his career highlights, and there have been plenty. One of 32 coaches to reach 400 career wins. Second-time NBA Coach of the Year. And look at the distance apart in years, 1978 to 2004. And the oldest coach to coach a postseason game in NBA history, but he said he just didn't have his heart in it anymore.
I need, on a daily basis, an energy and a stamina. And then with me, it's a spirit. See, they're the things that drive me into the passion that you have for your game. My biggest regret is that I didn't meet them when I was in my 40s and 50s, because I had more to give than I do now, because I was more alert, more astute, more observant, and I saw more. And I apologize to them because I met them too late in my life.
No need to apologize at all. It was great having him in the league over those seasons. And Jim Gray joins us now. Jim, first question is, what is the circumstance surrounding right now the Memphis job?
Well, Lionel Hollins is coaching tonight. That's only on an interim basis. Mike Fratello is the first and only choice right now of the Memphis Grizzlies. He will fly to Memphis later this evening and will meet with Jerry West tomorrow. Fratello has some questions that he would like to have answered, and Jerry West and the Grizzlies have some answers that they would like to have answers to. If the two can come together, he's their only choice, and he will be the next head coach if they can come to an agreement tomorrow.
What would be some of the circumstances that would keep a Mike Fratello from taking that job? Obviously, he's got a pretty steady job in television right now. If he opens that one up, Hubie Brown can go right back in a one-for-one trade.
Well, Mike has wanted to coach. He's come close in New Orleans. He's come close with the Clippers. He came close with the Knicks. It's no secret he hasn't coached since 1998. He would like to get back into the league. Jerry West is a guy who everybody would love to work for. Of course, Jerry West said today he's not sure what his future is. I'm sure Mike Fratello would like to know just exactly what Jerry West plans to do. Is he going to stay the rest of the year? Will he finish his contract, which expires a year after this one? Mike Heisley is the owner of the team, but he's turned over the entire operation to Jerry West. So I just think that Fratello would like to know just exactly what the direction is of the club. Obviously, there are a lot of young players. They've had some injuries this year. But it's basically Fratello's to get. It's not his to lose, but if he puts on a good performance tomorrow and everybody expects that he will, I'm sure that he will be offered the job.
Jim, thanks a lot. And the first thing we should point out is Mike Fratello is a lot older than those pictures we were showing of him before. But a return to coaching, he has unfinished business. He feels that way.
He does. And, you know, he's a very astute basketball person. He obviously knows the game. My only concern about Mike Fratello with that team is, remember, the last team he coached in Cleveland was much more of a walk-it-up, very much of a slow-down team. When you got a guy like Jason Williams, I don't think you can play that kind of style.
Mike Fratello has been anxious to prove that that was a misnomer. He was adjusting to the talent that he had. If he had this kind of talent, he thinks you'd see a different coach, and I personally believe him. I'd like to see Lionel Hollins be a head coach, but if it's not going to be Lionel Hollins, I have absolutely no problem with Mike Fratello whatsoever. That man knows some basketball.
And more on Hubie Brown, the fact that he won with a franchise that had been run out of Canada, that shows what a great coach he is. Kobe Bryant, well, it's his team now. and he's all smiles. They'll face the Kings, the big rivalry right now out in the West. But Darko Milicic, little spin right there, and then watch him sky to the hole.
Tim Legler, comment.
I love it. Always got to get a white guy dunking.
The Toyota Halftime Show is brought to you by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's moving forward. Back to the Toyota Halftime Show.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal has plenty of fans here in Times Square, but as they look up, 7 points, 7 boards, not going to get it done for Shaq. He should come out with a great second half. It's coming up next.
The Toyota Halftime Show is brought to you by Toyota. Choose any direction as long as it's moving forward.
And welcome back to Detroit with Rachel Nichols and Steve Jones. I'm Jim Durham. At the half, the Pistons with a 2-point lead on Miami and Shaquille O'Neal. Maybe the way you defend Shaquille is get him in foul trouble, put him on the bench. One thing's for sure, his coach doesn't like the way it's called when Shaq is in the post.
Every game, and I'm trying not to yell and scream.
No, you're fine, Stan. We're fine.
Don't call the rules the same way on Shaq you do on everybody else.
All right,
that's he's so big.
That's your opinion. I understand that, but that's not what we're out here trying to do, Stan. We're trying to apply the rules the same for everybody.
And as he went across the lane, he put that one on. That's a foul, automatic.
All right, okay.
So that is the official's version of what is going on with Shaq, but that's not what is happening to the players as he overpowers Derek Coleman, and you watch the balance and the footwork of Shaquille O'Neal and trying to spin inside. But basically what you come up with is a guy that is just big and strong and overpowering, and the results are a lot of physical punishment given out by Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq is improved in this area this year and being a more active shot blocker, and since Darko got his first dunk, he wasn't going to let him have the easy two. These are the guys that have defended Shaq, and
none of them are in foul trouble.
Right.
He is, though. What's going on?
Well, that's why Stan Van Gundy said you're not being fair. You know, call it both ways, as Shaq will try to play the final 24 and not pick up fouls 4-5 here in the third quarter.
Detroit with possession and a 2-point lead. The Pistons led by as many as 4 in the first half. Tayshaun Prince dumps it into McDyess. Boy, Shaq's presence made McDyess hurry that one. I mean, he handled that like a hot potato. As soon as he touched it, he had this shot on the way. And Udonis Haslem, who started the game red hot, starts it in the second half the same way. 15 points for Haslem.
Well, let's give the Detroit Pistons defense, particularly in that second quarter, a lot of credit. At the start of the second quarter, Miami was shooting 47% to the Pistons 29. They come back, and here at that break, it is 34% for the Pistons and 36% for the Miami Heat. So this game is leveled because of the defensive energy of the Pistons in the second half.
Rip Hamilton now leads Detroit in scoring with 10 points after that made basket. We've played a minute here in the third. Shaq against Wallace. Shaq again powers up with 2 hands and throws it down. 9 points for O'Neal.
Fans next to us, they want an offensive foul, but that time he just used his strength to overpower Wallace. Missed the little bunny the first time, and it was the first one back.
Now off the ball, we get a whistle. We have stoppage of play. Let's check in with Rachel Nichols.
Hey guys, now this is obviously a game for the Heat, but they've done some team bonding in the last few days. Yesterday, we're handing out turkeys in Overtown, and then last night they all went to a movie together. They all gathered in the lobby of the hotel and went out to see The Grudge. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Shaq said, "This is not something I was doing on my old team." He's been much more social with these guys. He's been much more of a leader. A couple weeks ago.
What a move by Rip Hamilton right around Shaquille O'Neal to put the Pistons up by 2.
And Rachel, we promise we'll get the rest of that story before this game is over.
Come on. I was going to say Dwayne Wade. When Dwayne Wade and Shaq first got together, Shaq said, I want to be out with you. I want to be closer to you, closer than that other guard in L.A. He said, let's go to a club. They met up at the club, but Shaq looked around. No Dwayne at the club. He finally found out Dwayne Wade was standing in line outside the club. The bouncer didn't recognize him. Shaq said, you play with me for a year? That'll never happen to you again.
Shaq working in the post with 5 to shoot. O'Neal over Rasheed Wallace. Rebounded by McDyess. We've played over 2 minutes here in the third. Tayshaun Prince, who has 3 fouls. The only guy in real foul trouble for Detroit. Eddie Jones knocks it away. It's out of bounds to the Pistons with 9 on the shot clock.
Shaquille O'Neal not happy with the results on that rebound outlet. And it cost him because Rip Hamilton drove right around him. He looked right and went left.
Shaq almost got an assist on that play. Prince. McDyess. I'll tell you what. McDyess twice now in this third quarter has really shot it quickly. The ball knocked out of bounds by Miami. And that has to be because Shaq is standing there.
Well, some of that in the fact that he thought that he got pushed on the last one and was trying to get to the free throw line. O'Neal, 5 turnovers in this ball game.
To go with his 3 personal fouls.
And you know how you stop turning the ball over? Shoot it. Shoot it.
Phillips. Prince goes into Wallace. Wallace against Haslem. Shaq arrives, so he dumped off to McDyess and knocked out by Miami again.
Good play by both. As Wallace saw Shaq coming, there was an open piston right under the hoop. They couldn't control the ball.
Prince to throw in. Rasheed over Haslem. Rasheed Wallace with his 3rd field goal. 6 points for him tonight. And Detroit has equaled its largest lead in the game. 3 minutes into the third. Wade around the pick by Haslem. Rasul Butler for 3. Prince the rebound. Billups is open. Chauncey Billups sticks the 3. His second 3-pointer tonight. Another early shot for Detroit.
In transition, but what Rip Hamilton said, and they're applying it, is everybody staying on the string defensively, and they're trying to share the ball at the offensive end. Rasul Butler, who has been quiet since the early 5 points, trying to make something happen.
He does there on a nice handoff to O'Neal after Rasul Butler beat Wallace on the baseline.
But the guy that has really got to get into this game for the Heat is Dwayne Wade. Number 3 has been very, very quiet. Credit the defense for some, but he's got to be more assertive if the Heat are to pull this game out. 8 on the clock.
McDyess leaves it with Wallace. Now 3 to shoot. Hamilton, a deep 3, comes up short, but it was grabbed by O'Neal, and thus it changed possession before the shot clock buzzer. Butler, and the foul on Prince will be his 4th.
Foul number 22, Tayshaun Prince, his 4th, team second.
There's the floor cam, and we've been talking about the impact of Shaquille O'Neal. Well, he had an impact on the floor cam a couple of times up and down, and Shaquille O'Neal finishes out.
He broke it. Here's Shaq hammering it home again. That's 13 points for O'Neal, 6 in the third, and it keeps Miami within 3. With Tayshaun Prince on the bench, Smush Parker has checked in for Detroit. Phillips leaves it with Parker. 10 on the shot clock. Parker on the drive, trying to set it up for McDyess. Miami the steal. Here comes Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade floats that one in. 8 points for Wade.
Rip Hamilton was trying to get back, showing some pretty good foot speed to try to double up with Chauncey Billups, but Wade went in the air before he could get there.
Just like that, the Heat are back to within 1. Phillips leaves it for McDyess. Wallace over O'Neal. Haslam the rebound, and the Heat with a chance at the lead. Shaq rolls in on McDyess and violated the baseline. That would be turnover number 6 on Shaquille O'Neal tonight.
He did not have enough room when he made that. He was thinking he was going to be able to quick and slide back in, and he stepped out of bounds before it happened. We have a break.
Larry Brown wants a timeout. The Detroit Pistons calling time with 6:34 left in the third. And it's Detroit right now clinging to a 1-point lead. Makes in the Palace. This, of course, the ugly scene last Friday with the Pacers leaving the court. And tonight, at the end of the first half, Shaquille O'Neal and the Heat going down the same tunnel. High fives, pats on the back. Rasheed Wallace enjoying a light moment with Stan Van Gundy and the Heat coach. And before the game, the Pistons and the Heat getting together to visit. Thanksgiving weekend with school out. A lot of youngsters in attendance tonight as part of this sellout crowd of 22,076. 6 straight points for Miami. They're back to within 1. Chauncey Billups running the show for Detroit. That may be a pass. 4 to shoot. Parker. He missed the rim. Shot clock violation.
Well, the first shot taken by Chauncey Billups was a reaction to Shaquille O'Neal coming over, and he just flipped that one up. And Smoosh Parker tried to beat the clock and aired it as well. So the pressure now comes back on the Pistons defense, which has been up to the task. Dwayne Wade with just 2 points here in the third quarter.
The Miami Heat, though, with a chance to get the lead this possession halfway through the third. Eddie Jones. Shaq with 9 to shoot.
Watch out.
Bowls his way to the hoop and draws the foul as bodies go flying when Shaq took it right down the alley.
Foul on 24, Antonio McDyess.
Foul is on Antonio McDyess.
Well, Shaq makes a quick move and just rolls into the middle and is able to get in there before McDyess can shut that lane off. And so it's an easy call to make.
2 shots for Shaq.
What has not been easy is to see 2 free throws go in.
3 for 11, my friend. O'Neal with 13 points in the game, averages 19.6. He's got that one 4 for 12 for Shaquille O'Neal. 7 straight points for the Heat as they tie it up.
7 1/4 for Shaquille O'Neal, so he's keeping his team in this game.
Smush Parker defended by Rasul Butler.
The confusion at the offensive end and the little tentative play is what gets them in trouble. They end up with a tough shot from Smush Parker.
And O'Neal claims the defensive rebound.
When you're playing offense, you have to be aggressive and assertive early. Rasul Butler with a miss.
Parker brings it back, so the Pistons with a chance to go back in front. Rip Hamilton against Eddie Jones. And a defensive 3-second call. Defensive 3 seconds against Miami. Chauncey Billups will shoot the technical.
But the Pistons are not a one-on-one team. They beat you with motion and passing, getting in the right areas. And whenever that ball stops, that's when their offense stops. They have a little pickup at the start of the third, but their percentage is still under 40% as Billups passes a free throw.
Campbell and Wallace pass in the night. Rasheed going out with 5:13 left in the third. A 1-point Detroit lead. 10 on the shot clock for Billups. Wade tips the pass back to him. 4 to shoot. McDyess over Haslam. A big hit against the shot clock buzzer.
That is the vintage Antonio McDyess move. Fake one way, spin back the other, and drop it down. He likes to shoot it straight in or off the glass. And Larry Brown is very hopeful that he continues to stay healthy because he's got a special player in McDyess.
4 points for him in the game. Here's Dwayne Wade. And Billups lets it hop out of bounds. Antonio McDyess enjoying his role as a starter for the Pistons. As you see, big difference in points per game and, of course, field goal percentage, rebounds, but minutes as well.
He has a starter's mentality because he's been a starter all his life. And one of the most difficult things to adjust to is going from a starter to a reserve role and being as productive. Campbell loses the ball.
But recovers. And now it's Billups with 6 on the clock. And Miami comes out with it. Billups is down at the other end. Eddie Jones hitting.
Billups and Wade came together, and Billups thought he was going to get a call and got nothing. First field goal. They bumped heads.
A 1-point Detroit lead, less than 4 minutes for the third.
And Wade's eyes are swelling quickly.
It's closing, and Hamilton almost had a shot at a 3-point play. The foul on Eddie Jones, his second.
Foul on number 6, Eddie Jones, his third.
Excuse me, that's the third foul on Eddie Jones.
Detroit lineup number 10, Lindsey Hunter from number 7.
Dwayne Wade still feeling it after bumping heads with Chauncey Billups. Rip Hamilton on the line. First time tonight. Hamilton with 13 points in the game. Here's a look at that play.
In challenging, he ends up getting kicked right in the face by Chauncey Billups. He's challenging on that 3-point shot. He's going to stay in the ball game as he's trying to live through it.
He may need a cut man before.
Every NBA team pretty soon is going to have a cut man. And they're going to have that in swell down there as well.
So Hamilton's 2 free throws established a 3-point lead for Detroit. Less than 3:40 for the third. Shaq against Campbell. And the rebound comes off to the Pistons. Billups guarded by Wade. Rip Hamilton against Damon Jones. O'Neal clears his 13th rebound. Shaq against Campbell. A bit of a walk. Shaquille O'Neal turns it over.
He's saying these officials don't know my move. The hop gets me there, and then I get to step, and you call me for traveling.
His 7th turnover. NBA TV Saturday. Tomorrow, the Pistons and Bucks from Milwaukee. Coverage at 9 o'clock. TNT Thursday. Doubleheader. Houston at Dallas. Cleveland at Denver at 8 is when it starts. ESPN next Friday. The Detroit Pistons at San Antonio and Indiana at Sacramento. Coverage starts at 8 o'clock next Friday. 2:47 left in the third. Hunter has stopped the dribble. Now it's Campbell. Now it's O'Neal. Shaq with his 14th rebound.
And Shaq has been a better rebounder here earlier this season than he was early in the season for the Los Angeles Lakers over the last 2 seasons. O'Neal with the left. But that Campbell is going to get the foul before that ball goes in.
So Shaq will be on the line when we come back after the timeout. We've got 2 minutes and 31 seconds left in the third quarter at the Palace of Auburn Hills. And the Detroit Pistons are hanging on to a 3-point lead.
ESPN's presentation of NBA Friday Coast to Coast. Brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Visit your Lincoln Mercury dealer during the Wishlist year-end event. American Express. Blade Trinity, starring Wesley Snipes, Jessica Biel, and Ryan Reynolds. In theaters December 8th. And Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Kobe Bryant looks relaxed, ready to go against Sacramento, as the Kings and the Lakers will be the second part of our doubleheader coming up when we're done in the East. Gentlemen, back to you.
That means Shaquille O'Neal is at work here tonight against the Detroit Pistons. Shaq will be going to the free throw line. Shaq got some advice at halftime, Snapper.
Well, Bob McAdoo, who has played a long time and understands the tricks of the trade of playing against the big center, is saying, you know, Shaq, you cannot let any of the Detroit Pistons come underneath and get the ball away from you. And Rasheed Wallace was trying, and Shaq rips away before it can happen.
And we get a kick violation. The foul on O'Neal, not a shooting foul, so he's not on the free throw line. There's your first half. Shaq touched the ball 16 times in the first half, and he's got 15 already here in the third.
That would mean.
But he likes that number 7, doesn't he?
The diesel is rolling now. You know, he's beginning to pick up steam. He's been able to stay out of foul trouble. He's gotten a little bit better offensive rhythm in the game. He's done a good job of rebounding and defending, so he's kept the heat in the game.
Ron Olesiak, the official over at the scorer's table, apparently getting the shot clock and the game clock synced up properly. Jones makes the inbounds pass to Haslam.
But Eddie Jones has been quiet along with Dwayne Wade. Both of those guys have to figure out how to get in the game.
Well, they both got into it right there. A shot missed and cleared by Wade, but he couldn't follow it either.
And he knows he should have finished that one.
So the Pistons still up by 3, nearing the 2-minute mark for the third. Both teams shooting less than 40%. And out on the perimeter, another foul.
Udonis Haslem.
Actually, this was off the ball to the post.
Udonis Haslem trying to get around in front, got caught holding.
It's 3 fouls on Haslam, 3 team fouls on the Heat. Michael Doliak coming back, Shaquille O'Neal going out.
Well, for protection, a couple of minutes rest for Shaquille O'Neal. They don't want him to get any more fouls. They got 12, 14 minutes left in this game, and they want to see him play the majority of that time.
Hamilton. McDyess against Doliak. Miami ends up with a rebound.
Excuse me. The physical nature of this game cannot be overstated. It's been tough to do anything without being contested, knocked off balance somehow.
And yet there's another foul called on the perimeter. Lindsey Hunter picking up that personal foul. Before the game, our Rachel Nichols had a chance to ask Shaq what he would do if anybody threw an object at him in a game.
I'll probably handle it very corporately, but I don't think I would put myself in a position to have a cup thrown at me.
Corporately, how would you handle it?
Corporately, I'd be playing the next game, just put it that way.
Saw Shaq coming out after halftime, high-fiving the fans. That's part of the NBA experience here. So far, they haven't moved any of these fans back. Fans are still lining the court, but they are talking in the off-season about making some changes because there is the chance of objects coming at the players or fans rushing on the court. We'll have to see what happens.
Here's Rip Hamilton. The ball tipped around and out of bounds eventually. Last touch by Detroit.
Udonis Haslem knocked it to Antonio McDyess. He couldn't cover it. So the pressure by Detroit now gets a chance to set up as Rip Hamilton, Billups, and Hunter all come down the floor.
Well, you know, taking that point a step further about perhaps moving the fans back. Steve Jones, you'll remember this. Basketball players had the nickname of cagers for years because they used to play inside of a netting around the court. This shot by Damon Jones. Now, I read about that.
Yeah, I never played in that, but I don't want to say that.
McDyess with the layup and the foul. I don't think the NBA will be going to that extreme, however.
This is a good transition bucket, and when the Pistons have been good, it's because they've been good early, and they find Antonio McDyess will have a chance for a three-point play. Billups goes out of the ball game. Smush Parker coming back in.
67 seconds left. Detroit with this 4-point lead. There you see Shaquille O'Neal on the bench, and McDyess missed that one badly. He's been a Shaq-like free throw shooter this year. Just 50%. In fact, now he's probably a little bit under that. Miami's got 11 to shoot. 53 seconds for the third. Dwayne Wade against Hunter. Some shot by Wade. He did draw the foul, so he'll get to the free throw line.
Foul number 7, Smush Parker.
Smush Parker called for the personal. Parker has his first.
Dwayne Wade at the line.
Dwayne Wade tonight, a very quiet 9 points. He came in averaging just under 26 points a game.
Shaq is an overpowering matchup, and Dwayne Wade is a quickness matchup problem. And if you let him change directions or get a little step on you, you're going to be in trouble trying to get in front of him because he always seems to have another gear. Last time at the line, he was 1 of 2. This time he drops them both.
11 points for Wade. The Heat back to within 2. Smush Parker controls for Detroit. Hamilton. Contact on the Hamilton drive. So Rip Hamilton goes to the line to foul on Udonis Haslem. That's 4 fouls on him.
Same problem with Rip Hamilton. It's the quickness. And if you got a big guy jumping out on Rip Hamilton, you better be able to move your feet. Udonis Haslem, who's had an impact on this game, has picked up fouls in a help position a couple of times tonight. And Stan Van Gundy's going to have to take him out of the ball game. And they're over there discussing, well, how do I stay out of foul trouble, Coach? Let's sit over here by me.
And we'll let Christian Laettner take it the rest of the way here in the third. McDyke also making a change as McDyke goes out and Darvin Ham comes in. So Rip Hamilton has made both of his free throw attempts tonight. A 14-point game working for Hamilton. And the Pistons have the 3-point lead. Their biggest has been 7. But Miami's led by as many as 8.
In Dwayne Wade and Rip Hamilton, we see the single most important thing a basketball player can have. Quickness. You can be slow-footed. It's always better if you've got quick feet. But if you have quickness, you can do a lot of damage to any defense.
Miami down 4. A half minute left in the third. The shot clock at 17. A little better than 12 difference. Wade getting all the way to the rim, overshot the mark, and then a loose ball foul on Dwayne Wade against Rasheed Wallace.
And more of a reaction about having missed that shot. He turned that corner, and again, the quickness of Wade on display as he got to the rim, but he was going so fast that he just did not have enough control. You'll see him flying by the floor cam and the quickness in trying to return, but you see how he can hang, but he had too much speed.
Wade is 3 for 11 from the field, and he wanted that ball back badly, showing his frustration there. Rasheed Wallace on the line for the Pistons, 0 for 2 tonight. Rasheed came in shooting 64% from the line. Well, Wallace scoring average has taken a hit. He's averaging 13 a game this season, 16 a game last year.
Preseason injury has cut back on the game conditioning of Rasheed Wallace, and that
looks like he's heavier, right?
Yeah, you know, and that will change as the season goes along. Larry Brown said he just has to play him into shape now.
6-point lead for the Pistons. Dwayne Wade operating against Lindsey Hunter. No shot clock. The final seconds of the third. Wade off penetration. Sets up Christian Laettner. Tipped away by Doliak into the hands of Smush Parker as the third quarter comes to an end. So the Detroit Pistons trying to halt the 2-game losing streak. Lead the Miami Heat by 6 after 3.
Someone has to break out and carry the torch, and Dwayne Wade should be the guy for the Miami Heat.
As Campbell got to the baseline, a foul on Laettner. 2 fouls on Laettner. First team foul for Miami in the fourth. And sideline out of bounds for Detroit on the non-shooting foul.
But if you look at the lineup for the Pistons, they have some scoring with Wallace and Hamilton out on the floor. Turnover.
Miami with quick hands on the defensive end. Wade, as he made the drive, the shot went in, won't count. A foul on Lindsey Hunter. And that's 2 fouls on Lindsey Hunter.
Larry Brown has been shaking his head and complaining about the officiating all night long. But it is a difficult cover when you let Dwayne Wade get any kind of foot speed going, saved by Damon Jones.
Rebounded by Wallace. A minute into the fourth, and Detroit still up by 4, but the cold shooting continues for both clubs.
Well, both teams have had success when they've been in transition. Their offensive sets and half court have been mostly from the perimeter. Detroit more so than Shaquille O'Neal and the Miami Heat.
Eldon Campbell back out to Parker. That's a 3 if it drops, and O'Neal has the rebound. Shaq with 15 rebounds tonight. Tough shot.
You're being
side
edge. That was an ugly shot.
Hamilton. Rasheed Wallace hustles for the loose ball. Don't forget tomorrow night, college football. 10th ranked Boise State tries to remain perfect and hopes to join Utah in cracking the top 6 in the BCS standings as they visit Nevada. College football Saturday presented by Crestor at 7:45 Eastern.
Now, we've only seen the play between Shaquille O'Neal and Dwayne Wade one time, and they dropped the ball into Shaq, and then he comes back to Dwayne Wade. But Shaq goes on his own this time. The crowd wants that elbow in the neck of Eldon Campbell.
16 points for O'Neal to go along with his 15 rebounds. Miami back to within 2. A little over 2 minutes having been played in the fourth. And a foul on Butler. And a lot of those calls tonight out on the perimeter, and Butler has the personal here.
Shaquille O'Neal always has his elbow out and high. And usually he will always catch contact when he makes that spin right there.
He's 7'1". It's going to be high.
It's not supposed to be neck high.
9 to shoot.
Wallace saw it. The fans saw it. And Shaq got 2.
Parker off penetration and a foul called on the way in.
Back-to-back fouls on Rasul Butler, so they're allowing that ball to be caught, and then the quick move. The feet are not moving for Rasul Butler. He picks up a couple of fouls.
And 3 team fouls whistled against Miami. Push Parker out of the game right now for Detroit. Eddie Jones returning to the lineup for the Heat, and Butler goes out. Chauncey Billups against Dwayne Wade. Billups trying to beat Wade baseline, and a foul on Dwayne Wade. That's 14 fouls on Miami already, and we've got 9:27 left in the fourth.
Wade wanted a hook, didn't get it, but you're the Detroit Pistons and you're not making a shot. You have got to drive the ball. Try to get one more foul and shoot free throws for the rest of the fourth quarter.
And Detroit a better free throw shooting team than is Miami. Rasheed Wallace cleared by Leitner. The Heat with a chance to tie or possibly take the lead with a long one. Damon Jones hounded by Lindsey Hunter. Here's Shaq against Campbell. And Eldon Campbell the rebound. Rip Hamilton. Campbell from the corner, mistip by Hunter and cleared by O'Neal.
That helps the Miami Heat. When you pull the trigger from the outside and you're not making those jump shots and you've got just one more whistle to get to the free throw line, you're not playing smart basketball, and that's where they're going to have to adjust. O'Neal trying to power his way in, couldn't get it.
Not having any success right now as Hamilton pushes it back the other way, under to Wallace. Miami. Wade to Shaq for the power jam. Nice setup by Dwayne Wade.
And it is 6-0 Miami, and they have tied the ball game.
And they've done it in 4 minutes of play here in the fourth. Chauncey Billups, offensive foul. Chauncey Billups with his first. It turns it over to Miami. And Shaquille O'Neal with 18 points in the ball game to go along with 16 rebounds.
And if you're Dwayne Wade, you find Shaquille O'Neal on a play just like that, and the big fellow handles it with one hand to tie the game up.
John Saunders, Tim Legler in the studio with their Jeep Power Performance, taking us to Philadelphia and AI.
I take a look at AI right here, reading the passing lane, the big steal and finish. 2/10 left, gives the Sixers a win over the Wizards.
Why he's one of the best defensive players in the league as well as his offense. And yes, interacting with the fans. It's our house. This is 76ers win. You see Allen Iverson with 28 and the Mavs over the Trailblazers. Nowitzki with 23 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's your Jeep Power Performance. Right now, Mike Bibby. Well, he looks pretty relaxed there, just reading the paper, ready for the game. It's coming up. We're done. In the East, Jim and Steve.
Tell you what, John, the Detroit Pistons and the Heat all tied at 62. You know what, Snapper? Detroit may win a game tonight and not shoot 30% from the field in the process.
Yeah, their percentage has been going down, but they have consistently been in the 30s for most of the game. They're right above 30% now at 30.6 as O'Neal tries to make it 8.
Miami has taken the lead. 8 straight points for the Heat to open the 4th. Detroit Pistons yet to score in this 4th quarter.
The Pistons have to think about staying in this ball game by getting to the free throw line. They're struggling with field goal shot selection. Eldon Campbell.
And Eldon Campbell puts them on the board in the 4th quarter. Campbell has his first field goal in this quarter. So that shooting percentage remains around 30%. Wade into O'Neal. Shot with 8 to shoot.
They're coming to Shaq earlier, and he's getting one-on-one coverage. Dwayne Wade has not been looking to take that shot, but he makes that one.
And you can see the value in Dwayne Wade because he hits that mid-range jump shot much better this year than he had in his rookie season. That's part of his off-season improvement. Detroit turns it over, so the Heat with a chance to extend on their 2-point lead.
Wade is looking for a seam to get down the lane.
How about that one?
Window.
How about that one? Dwayne Wade, who had just 6 points at halftime, 17 points working right now. And a timeout taken. It's a full timeout, 6:18 left in the 4th. A 12-2 run by the Miami Heat as they try to remain unbeaten against the East.
NBA Friday Coast to Coast, brought to you by Chrysler. Inspiration comes standard. Walt Disney Pictures National Treasure, now playing in theaters everywhere. Sharp Aquas, suddenly there's more to see. And new Pepsi Holiday Spice, here just for the holidays.
It may be Kobe's team, but it is Rudy T who's holding court before the game. Lakers and Kings are coming back. Right now, let's send it back out to Rachel Nichols with more on the Detroit fans. Rachel.
Well, I'm out here. There's been a lot of talk in the last week about the fans in the city of Detroit. But these women with me right here, they say they're the most diehard fans in the building. Gail Least here, 62 years old. What do you think of last week's melee? And what do you think it said about the city of Detroit?
The city of Detroit has the best fans. We represent the good fans, the well-behaved fans. There's 22,000 people in here, and maybe 150 people misbehave. And we want the world to know that we represent the real Detroit Pistons.
Excellent. Now, you guys are normally wearing afros. You've got the Ben Wallace wig. Why no afros?
We're waiting for Ben to come back.
All right, now back to JD.
All right, Rachel, and Wallace has 2 more games to serve on his suspension after tonight. Detroit really struggling to score in the 4th. Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal have scored all 12 points for the Heat in this 12-2 spurt. And there's a foul called on Hamilton. Ben Wallace, as I mentioned, 2 games left to serve on his suspension. There's a little Ben.
Yeah, they've seen little of Ben.
when that Ben scores, do you suppose it's like a Tinkerbell chime? Instead of the Big Ben that tolls. Dwayne Wade against Hamilton. Rip Hamilton the rebound.
Well, you know, a lot of players that think they're getting hit and bumped are looking in the direction of the officials. You got a foul, a technical foul on Stan Van Gundy. So Eric Lewis lets him know, I'm not happy with what you're yelling at me.
Ronnie Rothstein, his assistant, saying, okay, Stan, why don't you stick around for the finish? Larry Brown was teed up in the first half on the Detroit bench, and Billups misses the free throw. Chauncey Billups, a 92% free throw shooter.
And that is indicative of the kind of fourth quarter they're having. They have exactly 2 points in 6+ minutes of play.
And the Heat have 12. 5:39.
And it is just, we're the only ones that know that the penalty is in effect. O'Neal finally bails him out, and Rip Hamilton will go to the line.
And Shaq has picked up his 4th foul. So Richard Hamilton, an 84% free throw shooter, perfect in 4 tries tonight. Back to the free throw line. Hamilton with 16 points in the game.
But they went into the penalty, or the penalty situation was present for them for it at about the 8:27 mark of the fourth quarter. And they are now shooting their 2nd free throw. The first was a technical.
Hamilton has hit all 5 of his free throw attempts. Rip Hamilton averaging 21.6, 17 points, has a chance to bring the Pistons to within 2.
If you're the Miami Heat, you ride the tandem that's been carrying in the quarter, and that is Shaquille O'Neal and Dwayne Wade. Pressure on Damon Jones.
Both Wade and O'Neal with 6 points apiece. Eddie Jones goes into Shaq. Damon Jones sidesteps Phillips. And Rasheed Wallace ends up with a rebound. The Pistons with a chance to tie. Chauncey Billups does it. At the 5-minute mark, Detroit pulls even.
Larry Brown is trying to get him to trap and double on defense. Eddie Jones.
For 3, Eddie Jones, very quiet the entire evening. Just 1 field goal made, and now he hits a huge 3-pointer. Eddie Jones shooting 30% from 3 on the season. On the baseline, Wade and Hamilton get tied up. A foul on Dwayne Wade. That's 4 fouls on him. Well, as part of the NBA's Season of Giving, Rip Hamilton purchased and hosted a Thanksgiving dinner for approximately 900 people at the Capuchin Soup Kitchen in Detroit. Rip Hamilton signing autographs and serving the food and delivering from the free throw line right now. 7 straight for Hamilton from the line, 19 points scored.
The Energizer is the guy that is trying to keep them into the ball game with all that ball movement, with all that movement away from the ball. He's pushing Dwayne Wade toward double jeopardy and fouling out of this ball game.
Back to a 1-point Miami lead. Damon Jones hounded by Billups. Haslam. O'Neal against Wallace. Rebounded by Miami. Haslam takes it down. Here's Wade on the attack. Rasheed Wallace, the Detroit rebound, and the Pistons are looking for the lead. Hamilton drives on Eddie Jones. Offensive foul. Hamilton has picked up his 4th.
Rip Hamilton on the drive, and watch that arm come out. Oh no, they called it on the charge, so think that was Udonis Haslem that got in there, or Dwayne. Yeah, it was Haslem that took the charge.
Miami trying to extend on the 1-point lead. Eddie Jones leaves it for Wade. The shot clock at 11. Damon Jones goes into Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq wheels on the Pistons, drew a crowd, drew a foul on Rasheed Wallace, and O'Neal will be on the line.
What Rasheed Wallace and Eldon Campbell are trying to do is make Shaquille O'Neal have to work to get it done. And he has not been above the basket many times tonight, but at that critical point, Shaquille O'Neal throws it down.
Detroit now with 3 team fouls in the fourth. Shaq back to the free throw line. He hasn't been there in a while.
Maybe that will help improve his
Maybe
percentage.
so. He was 4 for 12 and now rims that one in. So 5 for 13, and he's actually made his last 2. There's the line on Shaq with 21 points. He's hit 3 in a row, actually. 3 straight for O'Neal. 73-70.
8 in the quarter for Shaq.
Chauncey Billups finds McDyess, wheels away from Shaq. It's blocked by Wade, but a foul on Dwayne Wade. Wade has his 5th.
But Wade has to recognize that he needs to stay in the ball game, and even though O'Neal gets beat on this play, he's not going to have a chance to beat McDyess and knock him off that ball. As you get a look at the floor cam.
And McDyess misses the first of 2. He's 0 for 2 from the line, shooting less than 50%. Dwayne Wade with a 17-point game working, but 5 personal fouls.
Did you say McDyess and O'Neal are cousins?
They are at the foul line. McDyess 0 for 3. You know, the way Detroit is shooting, if Miami converts this trip, a 5-point lead is huge. And Damon Jones shoots for a 6-point lead. It's cleared by Hamilton. 3 minutes left.
The good thing for Detroit, Miami's not shooting that much better. Watch out.
2-hand jam by McDyess. A 1-point Miami lead, less than 3 minutes for the fourth. Wade operates against Hamilton. Eddie Jones into Shaq. 7 to shoot. Shaq strong to the hoop and draws the foul. Timeout, 2:34 for the fourth. Heat by 1.
John Saunders in the studio. Pacers over the Bobcats, thanks to Fred Jones with 13 in the fourth quarter. And no Hubie Brown for the Grizz. And the T-Wolves win it 115-90. Kevin Garnett, his 11th double-double in 12 games. Kobe Bryant, ready to lead the Lakers against the Kings. That's coming up next. And now let's go back to Jim and Steve.
Shaquille O'Neal in the Heat clinging to a 1-point lead. Rasheed Wallace complaining to the officials about those high elbows that Shaq has been delivering his way tonight.
Shaq always comes elbows out and body in, and Rasheed Wallace trying to come back to make a play on the ball from a super slow-mo. It will watch that arm flex, and you'll think, oh, that's a break.
And it was as if Shaq was not touched. I mean, he just continued to power up with that shot. He almost made it. Now comes the hard part. O'Neal at the free throw line, although he has made his last 3. And is 6 for 14 in the game. 2-point lead.
4 in a row.
4 in a row, my friend.
The new secret is let him have long stretches where he doesn't shoot free throws.
5 in a row. That one was so true. The net barely moved on the way by.
10 in the quarter for Shaquille O'Neal.
Billups fouled by Damon Jones. Another one of those hand check situations out on the perimeter. Damon Jones.
Been able to stay in the ball game in the second half, avoid foul problems, get more opportunities, and he's been more effective. But Damon Jones had both of his hands around the waist of Chauncey Billups. If you are the Miami Heat, you want that clock to run. Make the Pistons have to make a shot. Don't put them on the line. Billups is shooting 92%, and even though he missed the last one at 92, you know he's going to make most of it.
2:27 left for regulation. And finally, Ron Olesiak presents the ball to Billups.
And the Heat in the ball game are shooting 37%, and the Pistons are shooting 32%.
So, actually, Detroit has improved. Late in the third, they were at 30.4. Stan Van Gundy talking it over with the official. Billups does deliver on the 2 free throws, and the Pistons are back to within 1. Anybody's game with 2:20 remaining. Damon Jones hounded by Billups. The Kings and the Lakers next from the Staples Center. Shaq operating against Wallace. Traveling called on O'Neal. Now he does that a lot, Snapper, and we had it in fact earlier tonight with a tight shot of his feet. When he pivots, he jumps and turns with both feet in the air.
And he happened to do it right in front of Tom Washington that time, so the call is made.
That's 8 turnovers for O'Neal. Detroit looking for the lead. Billups, Hamilton. And another foul gets Hamilton on the free throw line. Eddie Jones called for that personal, his 4th. Watch his feet. Let's see if he travels.
Oh, he's hopped in the air. He's moved him once and twice before he puts it down.
Right there. Shuffled his feet. Hamilton hasn't missed tonight in 8 free throw tries, and he brings the Pistons even with 2:03 left. Richard Hamilton, 21 points. That's his average. Detroit by 1.
But on their last 2 possessions, they put the ball in the hands of their guards who have been in an attacking position, and they've come up with 4 points. Trying to get the ball to Dwayne Wade.
And there's a foul on Wade. He's just fouled out of the game. Dwayne Wade fouls out with 1:51 remaining.
Frustrated by the blanket defense of Rip Hamilton, he gave him a little shot in the chest, and that will be it for Dwayne Wade, but he's trying to get through and pushes away.
Wade disqualified with 17 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. Detroit in possession, up 1.
Well, they run the same play on either side, Chauncey Billups or Rip Hamilton trying to get to the free throw line.
Hamilton comes up shooting. And the rebound tipped away by Detroit by McDicey. Ran it down, so the Pistons have another opportunity. And Larry Brown wants time. 22,076. Sensing a comeback perhaps by the Pistons here in this 4th quarter. Remember, they were outscored 12-2 to start the 4th quarter after leading by 6 going into the 4th.
They have chipped away, and the free throw line has been their best friend in getting back into the ball game. And the energy of Hamilton and Billups defensively making it difficult for Dwayne Wade to get his hands on the ball. They've had to go exclusively to Shaq, as the Miami Heat now have to come up with a good defensive stand. And out of that stand, come up with an offensive play. They're all looking in the direction of the officials. But that's been the story of the night for both teams. They don't feel that they've been getting a fair shake, but they've both been getting the same call, so it's an even night.
It's an even night. And we've got another one to follow on ESPN. The Kings and the Lakers from the Staples Center coming up when we're finished here. Dwayne Wade has fouled out. He is option number 2 in the Miami offense.
In games where they've needed wins and they've had to put the ball in his hand, he has been option number 1.
Yes, he has. Tayshaun Prince triggers to Billups.
20 on the clock.
Hamilton. And as he got the pass away, a travel is called on Richard Hamilton. So Miami with a chance to go back in front.
See, equal shuffling call.
There you go. Damon Jones, Billups on him. Shaq has it. Out to Eddie Jones. He comes up shooting. And Billups the rebound inside of Haslam. 1 minute for regulation. The Pistons trying to stop a 2-game losing streak. Trying to get back to the 500 mark. Antonio McDyess. 5 on the shot clock. Billups coming back to McDyess. It's stolen by Jones. Ahead to Eddie Jones. Back to Damon Jones. He juggled it out of bounds.
Could not have had a better chance to take the lead as they did everything right except catch the ball. Damon Jones bobbles it out of bounds after a good defensive effort to force the turnover.
Miami needs a stop. Detroit with a 1-point lead. The shot clock at 16, about 16 difference. Billups past O'Neal, and Shaq swats it out of bounds with 7 on the shot clock.
One thing that teams try to do is take advantage of Shaq in pick and rolls. This time he's having none of it. He knows that he's got to step up and make a play. 7 on the clock for the Pistons on this inbound.
Tayshaun Prince. McDyess comes up shooting. And the loose ball rebound to Miami. The Heat take time with 16.9 left. So the Miami Heat, without their best clutch shooter, Dwayne Wade, having fouled out, will try to win it in the last 16.9.
Points plus per game, the best of any arena in the league. Lakers Kings coming up. Jim and Steve.
All right, John, and the Miami Heat have 16.9 left. The fans want some defense here in Detroit as the Pistons nurse this 1-point lead.
Timeout situation, 16.9. You're on the road. You want to give yourself 2 chances to win this ball game. So you want to have a quick hitting play and then have a crash on the board to get it back. If you hold the ball and wait until you get under 5, you know they're going to foul Shaquille O'Neal, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on the big guy. The ball is going to come through Shaq, and he's got to make a quick move in order to try to score before the defense of the Pistons react.
Rasul Butler to make the inbounds pass. He comes into Damon Jones. Jones guarded by Billups. Eddie Jones delivers to Shaq against Wallace. Butler fires. A big hit for Rasul Butler with 7.3 left. Miami the 1-point lead. Larry Brown takes the timeout. Well, with Wade on the bench, you wondered who they'd go to.
Well, you knew the ball would go into Shaquille O'Neal's hand. I'm surprised he did not turn in, but he let Rasul Butler clear. He was wide open, and Rasul Butler said, "Who said I can't shoot? This is what I do."
That's his first 2 points of the second half. 7 points in the game for Butler.
What I like is attitude. You see that? That's attitude. Don't ever give me that shot.
All right, now what's Larry Brown talking about in his huddle with 7.3 left?
Again, you're in a situation where you want to get 2 cracks at trying to either tie the ball game up or win it. And you've got Rip Hamilton, who is constant motion, what they've been trying to run, and they're trying to get Shaq involved in the high pick and roll so that he has to come out, and then the big guy can roll down. We'll find out whether Shaq comes out as he did the last time against Chauncey Billups, and they get a shot or a foul.
We'll take a look at that last shot by Butler. Tough to tell if Eddie Jones was out of bounds in making that entry pass.
Eddie Jones' foot was just inside as they entered the ball in Shaquille O'Neal, but they had good ball movement, player movement, and then it was a question of whether Butler would make the shot. He was up to it. 7.3 left in the quarter.
And the Pistons come out with Wallace, McDyess, Billups, Hamilton, and Prince. Prince to make the inbounds pass.
Wallace did hurt his arm. He's been holding it. The one that he cracked Shaquille O'Neal across.
Yep.
He's been holding it and rubbing it since that moment as the Pistons now inbound the ball.
7.3. Collision off the ball. No call. Billups feeds it inside. Knocked away by the Heat. And the ball out of bounds to Detroit with 2.8 left.
Tremendous screen by Rasheed Wallace. He went to the floor. Damon Jones, I believe, went to the floor.
Detroit takes its final timeout.
Billups goes up. He had a shot as the Udonis Haslem was flying at him. The ball went off of Eddie Jones and then looked like Tayshaun Prince and Eddie Jones right at the end might have flipped it.
The ball has been awarded to the Pistons with 2.8 left. A 1-point Miami lead. Let's get an update from John Saunders.
Jim, we just want to remind people when you are done, the Kings and the Lakers, the game is underway. We'll get to Mike Breen and Bill Walton in a moment when you're done with that. Well, a little less than 3 seconds to go there between the Heat and the Pistons. Jim, back to you.
Okay, John, the Pistons using their final timeout.
What's been good to the Detroit Pistons? The free throw line. So they can run a quick hitting play and hope that they get a call that goes in their favor. Billups or Hamilton, but they can't be indecisive. The last time Billups started to shoot and then allowed Haslem flying across to deter him. You're going to shoot. You got to let it go.
You know, in a lot of respects, it's better in a situation like this to have just 2.8 as opposed to 7 or 8 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, there won't be as much thought by whoever catches it because they know they got to get the ball in the air.
Same fivesome for Detroit. Billups, McDyess, Wallace, Prince, and Hamilton.
And Eddie Jones.
It's a tough inbounds pass to make, though, in the corner on the baseline.
Tells Damon Jones, watch the push off.
Prince comes under to Hamilton. He scores with 1.3 left. And Miami is taking a timeout as Detroit leads by 1.
The quickness of this play, and Rip Hamilton, he was able to shake free, and they got him the ball, and he knew he wasn't going to be able to set and go up. He went off of one leg to get it over Shaquille O'Neal and got it in the right spot on the glass.
Rip Hamilton.
And that took exactly 1.5 seconds, so the Miami Heat still have a chance.
What have we had? 3 lead changes in the last 7.3?
But the mistake was made by the guy that was pressuring the passer. You should not allow Rip Hamilton to be seen. You cannot let that guy spot him and make that pass. Otherwise, you do get jubilation by the opponent.
When I mentioned that that's a tough inbounds pass to make, that's what I was thinking of. You can't usually see through along that baseline like that to throw the ball.
Well, Hamilton made a nice cut and got ahead of Eddie Jones right at the top of the key, so he just kept moving, which is his M.O., and was able to catch the ball and finish.
Sacramento off to a quick start in Los Angeles with an 8-0 lead. Stojakovic has scored 6 of the 8 for the Kings. Will Rip Hamilton's shot be the winner tonight, or does Miami have a game-winning shot left in them with 1.3 left?
Well, it's almost a catch-and-shoot situation for them. Rasul Butler, Eddie Jones, Christian Laettner will inbound the ball, and Damon Jones. So they have Shaq in the middle trying to go quick to him at the rim if they can, or one of the perimeter players catching and going long.
Dwayne Wade on the bench, having fouled out with 1:51 left. Laettner to throw in, and off the inbounds pass, and a heave by Butler, and the Heat wanted a goaltend. But this game is over. Detroit has the win. Oh, wait a minute. Let's wait to make sure. Stan Van Gundy apparently And the Heat have been turned away by the officials. It's over. Detroit has the win.
The ruling on a goaltending, the ball must have a chance to go in. Now this ball is launched in the air. Rasheed Wallace on the inside. That was well down, and it was just wishful thinking by Van Gundy and company, because that ball didn't have a chance to make it to the rim.
The Pistons are back to the 500 mark. Detroit winning 78-77. Coming up next, the Kings and the Lakers. For Steve Jones, Rachel Nichols, and our entire ESPN crew, this is Jim Durham, hoping you continue to enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend. And now we take you out to the Staples Center with Bill Walton. Here's Mike Green.
For this and other hot offers this Christmas.